Chapter 1. The Birth of a God. Poseidon's Divine Origins. In the beginning, before the Olympian gods reigned, the universe was ruled by the Titans, beings of immense power and ancient wisdom. Among them were Cronus, the Lord of Time, whose sickle gleamed with the promise of order, and Rhea, the Great Mother, whose love for her children was as boundless as the earth itself. Together, they brought forth a generation of gods, each destined to shape the world in their own way. Poseidon was one of these divine children, born into a family that would become the heart of Greek mythology. His siblings were no less remarkable: Zeus, who would claim the sky as his throne; Hades, destined to rule the shadowed underworld; Hera, the queen of the gods; Demeter, goddess of the harvest; and Hestia, keeper of the hearth's eternal flame. Together, they were a family of divine promise, but their early days were marked by darkness and struggle. Cronus, their father, was consumed by fear. A prophecy whispered that he would be overthrown by his own child, just as he had toppled his father, Uranus, the sky itself. To defy this fate, Cronus made a terrible choice. As each of his children was born, he swallowed them whole, imprisoning them within his immortal form. Imagine the sorrow of Rhea, her heart breaking with each child lost to her husband's dread. Poseidon, born into this world of betrayal, was taken from his mother's arms and consumed, trapped in the darkness of his father's will. Yet even in this confinement, the spark of his divine power flickered, waiting for the moment of liberation. Rhea, unwilling to lose another child, devised a plan when her youngest, Zeus, was born. She hid him away in a cave on the island of Crete, where the earth itself seemed to cradle him. In place of Zeus, she gave Cronus a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, which he swallowed without question. As you listen, picture that hidden cave, its walls aglow with the soft light of torches, the air filled with the scent of wild herbs, and the distant murmur of the sea. Zeus grew strong in secret, nurtured by nymphs and guarded by the earth's ancient spirits, until the day he would challenge his father and free his siblings. When that day came, Zeus, now a god of thunder and resolve, confronted Cronus with a plan as bold as the storms he would one day command. With the help of Gaia, the Earth Mother, Zeus tricked Cronus into drinking a potion that forced him to release the children he had swallowed. One by one, they emerged: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon reborn into the world, their divine essence undimmed by their ordeal. Imagine Poseidon stepping forth, his eyes like the depths of the ocean, his presence carrying the weight of the tides. The siblings united, their bond forged in shared hardship, and together they vowed to end the reign of the Titans. What followed was the Titanomachy, a war that shook the heavens and the earth. Picture the cosmos in turmoil, mountains crumbling, skies blazing with lightning, and the sea itself roaring as if alive with the fury of the gods. Poseidon fought alongside his siblings, his strength matched only by his determination. The Titans, mighty though they were, faced allies as formidable as their own kin. The Cyclopes, one-eyed giants of ancient craft, forged gifts for the young gods. For Zeus, the thunderbolt; for Hades, a helm of invisibility; and for Poseidon, a trident, a three-pronged spear that would become his emblem. Feel the weight of that trident in your mind, its bronze gleaming, its prongs sharp enough to split the earth or calm the seas. With this weapon, Poseidon wielded the power to shape the world. A god whose will could stir the deepest waters or shake the foundations of the land. The war raged for 10 years, a span that seems but a breath to the immortal gods, but an eternity to the mortal world, watching in awe. At last, the Olympians triumphed, casting Cronus and his allies into the depths of Tartarus, a prison as dark and vast as the void before creation. As the dust settled and the skies cleared, the three brothers, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, together to divide the cosmos. They drew lots, a simple act to determine their domains, trusting fate to guide their rule. Zeus claimed the heavens, his lightning illuminating the skies. Hades took the underworld, where he would govern the souls of the departed, and Poseidon, with a nod to the endless waves, became the lord of the sea, his trident a scepter over the waters that covered the earth. Imagine that moment, as Poseidon first stepped into his realm. Picture the sea stretching before him, its surface a mirror of the sky, its depths alive with mysteries. Dolphins leaped in greeting, their arcs like a dance of welcome, while the waves sang his name in a chorus of foam and spray. The earth, too, answered his call, trembling faintly as if to acknowledge his power as the earth shaker. And in the fields beyond the shore, horses galloped, their hooves a rhythm that echoed his creation. For Poseidon would soon be known as the god who gifted these creatures to humanity. As he stood at the edge of his domain, his heart swelled with the promise of his rule that would be both fierce and benevolent, a balance of storm and serenity. But Poseidon's story is not just one of power. It is also one of family. His bond with his siblings, forged in the fires of their struggle, would shape the myths to come. Zeus, the king, would lead with authority, but Poseidon was his equal in strength, if not in rank. Hades, in the shadows below, shared a quiet understanding with the sea god, both ruling realms apart from the sunlit world. Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, too, would weave their tales alongside Poseidon's, their lives intertwined like the currents of a great river. And beyond his divine kin, Poseidon's heart would turn to love, to the Nereid Amphitrite, who would become his queen, and to the many others whose unions would birth heroes, monsters, and legends. As you listen, let the image of Poseidon linger in your mind, a god born of Titans, freed by courage, and crowned by the sea. Picture him standing tall, his trident raised, the waves curling at his feet like a cloak of sapphire and foam. His story is just beginning, a tale that will carry you through the myths of gods and mortals, of storms and horses, of creation and wrath. Let the gentle cadence of this tale wash over you, like the tide that rocks a ship to rest, as we drift into the next chapter, where Poseidon's powers will unfold. Allow your thoughts to soften, your breath to slow, and the sea to guide you toward sleep. Chapter 2. Lord of the Sea, Powers and Symbols. Poseidon's dominion is the sea, a realm as vast and untamed as the heart of a god. Picture him standing on a rocky outcrop, his silhouette bold against a sky streaked with clouds. In his hand, he holds his trident, a three-pronged spear forged by the Cyclopes in the fires of the Titanomachy. This is no ordinary weapon. It is a symbol of his authority, a tool that bends the elements to his will. With a single thrust, he can summon waves that rise like mountains, their crests crowned with foam, crashing against cliffs with a roar that echoes his might. Imagine the sea churning, the wind howling, as Poseidon stirs the waters into a tempest, reminding mortals of his power. Yet, with a gentle touch of his trident, he can calm the storm, smoothing the waves into a mirror of tranquility, granting safe passage to those who sail under his protection. Feel the sway of a wooden ship, its sails catching the breeze, as it glides across the sea, made gentle by Poseidon's grace. Sailors, their faces weathered by salt and sun, offer prayers to him, their voices soft against the creak of the timbers. They know the sea is both friend and foe, a force that can cradle or consume. In ancient Greece, every voyage was a dance with Poseidon's will, every safe harbor a gift from his hand. As you listen, let the rhythm of the waves soothe you, each one a reminder of the god who holds the ocean in his grasp, a guardian whose power is as boundless as the horizon. But Poseidon's might extends beyond the waters. He is the Earthshaker, a title that carries the weight of mountains and the tremor of the ground. Picture a quiet, coastal village, its houses nestled against cliffs, the air filled with the scent of olive trees and salt. Suddenly, the earth stirs, a low rumble rising from deep within, as Poseidon strikes his trident against the rock. The ground quakes, stones tumble, and the people pause, their hearts racing, knowing that God has spoken. These earthquakes, born of his will, are both a warning and a wonder, a reminder that the sea god's power reaches into the very bones of the earth. Yet, in his kindness, he also brings forth springs, fresh water bursting from the ground, like a gift from the depths. Imagine a clear stream flowing from a rocky hillside, its waters sparkling in the sunlight, offering life to fields and villages parched by the summer's heat. Now, let your thoughts wander to the open plains, where the earth meets the sky in a sweep of golden grass. Here, Poseidon is the tamer of horses, the god who shaped these noble creatures from the foam of the sea. Picture that moment of creation, the waves crashing against a lonely shore, their foam gathering like a sculptor's clay. From this froth, Poseidon molds the first horse, its body sleek and strong, its mane flowing like the tides, its eyes bright with the spark of divinity. This creature, born of the sea, carries the wildness of the waves and the strength of the earth, a gift to humanity that would change the world. Horses became companions to heroes, drawing chariots into battle, racing across fields in honor of their creator. As you imagine a herd galloping free, their hooves drumming a steady beat, feel the connection between the sea and the land, a harmony woven by Poseidon's hand. His symbols are as vivid as the myths they inspire. The dolphin, swift and joyful, leaps through the waves, a creature beloved by the god. Picture a pod of dolphins dancing in the sea, their bodies arcing through the air, their chatter a song of the deep. They are Poseidon's messengers, guiding lost ships to safety, their presence a sign of his favor. In ancient tales, dolphins carried heroes across the waters, their sleek forms cutting through the waves with grace. As you listen, let the image of their dance calm your mind, a reminder of the sea's gentle embrace. Then there is the bull, a symbol of strength and sacrifice, sacred to Poseidon in the coastal cities of Greece. Imagine a solemn ritual by the sea, the air heavy with the scent of salt and burning herbs. A great white bull, its horns adorned with garlands, is led to an altar carved from stone, its surface worn smooth by years of devotion. The priests chant, softly, their voices blending with the murmur of the waves, as they offer the bull to honor the god who protects their shores. This act, both solemn and sacred, binds the people to Poseidon, a gesture of gratitude for the bounty of the sea and the safety of their voyages. And then there are the hippocamps, those wondrous creatures that blur the line between sea and land. Picture them, horses with flowing manes, their forelegs strong and proud, but their hindquarters trailing into shimmering, fish-like tails. They draw Poseidon's golden chariot across the waves, their scales catching the light like pearls scattered on the water. Imagine the chariot itself, gleaming with the brilliance of the sun, skimming the surface of the sea as if it were a meadow. The hippocamps gallop through the foam, their hooves barely touching the waves, carrying Poseidon from the depths to the stormy horizons. As you envision this procession, let its grandeur fill your mind, a vision of divine power tempered by the beauty of the sea. Deep beneath the waves lies Poseidon's palace, a realm of wonder hidden from mortal eyes. Picture a vast hall built of coral and pearl, its walls glowing with the colors of the ocean, emerald, sapphire, and turquoise. Schools of fish weave through the chambers, their scales flashing like stars in a twilight sky. At the center stands Poseidon's throne, carved from a single giant pearl, its surface smooth and luminous. Here he sits with his trident at his side, surrounded by nereids, the sea nymphs, whose voices are as soft as the tide. The air hums with the music of the deep, a melody that soothes the wildest storms and lulls the heart to rest. As you imagine this underwater kingdom, let its tranquility wash over you. A place where time slows and the world fades away. Poseidon's powers and symbols are more than tales of divine might. They are the threads that connect the sea to the earth, the mortal to the divine. Every wave that kisses the shore, every tremor that shakes the ground, every horse that runs free carries his essence. Sailors cast offerings into the sea, farmers kneel by new springs, and warriors honor the horses that carry them to glory, all bound by their reverence for Poseidon. As you lie there, let the rhythm of the sea fill your thoughts, its rise and fall like the breath of the world. Poseidon, the god who commands this realm, watches over it with a heart both fierce and kind. Let his story guide you, like a ship, gliding toward a distant shore, as we drift into the next chapter of his timeless lore. Chapter 3. The Contest for Athens in the Early Days of the World. When the Olympian gods were carving their places in the cosmos, the land that would become Athens lay unclaimed, a fertile plain cradled by mountains and kissed by the sea. Its people, simple yet hopeful, dreamed of a city that would stand for ages, a place of culture and power. The gods, too, saw its potential, and none more keenly than Poseidon and Athena. Picture them standing atop a rocky hill, the wind stirring, their divine forms, their gazes locked in a silent challenge. Poseidon, his trident gleaming in the sunlight, his presence as vast as the ocean, claimed this land as his own. Athena, her eyes bright with the fire of wisdom, stood firm, her owl perched nearby, its feathers ruffled by the breeze. The people of the plain, gathered below, watched in awe, their hearts torn between the might of the sea and the promise of knowledge. The gods agreed to explaining the terms of the contest. Each would offer a gift to the people, a gift that would prove their worth as patron of the new city. The one whose offering brought the greatest benefit would claim the honor, their name forever tied to the city's glory. The people, led by their wise king Cecrops, stood ready to judge, their voices hushed, their eyes fixed on the divine figures above. Imagine that moment, the air thick with anticipation, the sea murmuring in the distance, as the gods prepared to present their gifts. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the plain, and the people waited, their breath held, knowing their choice would shape their future. Poseidon stepped forward first, his trident raised, his gaze steady and commanding. He struck the earth with his weapon, and the ground trembled, a faint echo of his earthshaker's power. From the spot where his trident pierced the soil, a spring burst forth, its waters sparkling in the sunlight. A gift born of his dominion over the sea? Picture it, a stream of water, clear and cool, bubbling up from the rock, its surface catching the colors of the sky blue, gold, and rose. Some say this spring was of salt water, a reflection of Poseidon's realm, meant to symbolize the wealth and power of the sea, the promise of trade and voyages that could bring riches to the land. Others whispered that he offered a horse, a creature of strength and grace, born from the foam of the waves, its hooves drumming the earth like the pulse of the tide. Imagine that horse, its mane flowing like the sea, its eyes alight with divine fire, a gift of speed and nobility, a companion for warriors and kings. The people murmured, their voices soft as they gazed at Poseidon's offering. A spring could bring life to their fields, water to their homes, a connection to the sea that fed their nets with fish. A horse could carry their heroes to glory, draw their chariots in races held under the sun. Poseidon stood tall, his trident planted in the earth, his presence as unyielding as the cliffs that guard the shore. The gift was mighty, a testament to his power, and the people felt the weight of his favor. The promise of a city bound to the sea, its harbors alive with ships, its name carried on the winds of trade. As you listen, picture yourself among them, standing on that sun-warmed plain, the scent of salt and earth in the air, the spring's gentle flow a soothing melody that calms the heart. Then, Athena stepped forward, her movements graceful, her expression serene yet resolute. She knelt upon the earth, her hands gentle, as she planted a single gift, an olive tree, its branches slender, its leaves silver-green in the light. Picture it rising from the soil, its roots sinking deep, its boughs reaching toward the sky. The olive tree, a symbol of peace and prosperity, promised fruit to nourish the people, oil to light their lamps, and wood to warm their hearths. Its branches could crown victors in games. Its harvest could sustain a city through lean years. Its presence a quiet strength that would endure for generations. The tree stood as a beacon of wisdom, a gift that spoke not of fleeting power, but of lasting growth, of a city rooted in knowledge and harmony. Imagine the people gathering closer, their eyes moving between Poseidon's spring oar, his horse, and some tales in Athena's olive tree. The spring sparkled, its waters a mirror of the sea, a reminder of Poseidon's dominion, his ability to grant wealth or unleash storms. The horse, if it was his gift, pawed the ground, its strength a promise of conquest and glory. But the olive tree, simple yet enduring, seemed a whisper of a different future, one of stability, of sustenance, of a city that would thrive through wisdom rather than might. The people, guided by Cecrops, their king, stood in quiet deliberation, their voices low, their thoughts turning to the needs of their unborn city. As you drift through this scene, let the image of the olive tree's leaves, shimmering in the breeze, and the spring's gentle flow blend in your mind, a tableau of divine gifts that soothes the soul. The choice was not an easy one. Poseidon's gift carried the weight of the sea, the promise of trade, of voyages that could bring treasures from distant lands. A spring could water their fields, a horse could lead their warriors to victory. Yet Athena's olive tree offered something deeper, foundation for a city that would grow, not just in wealth, but in culture, in thought, in the arts that would make its name eternal. Picture the people walking among the gifts, their hands brushing the leaves of the olive tree, their feet cooled by the spring's flow. Some say the women of the plain favored Athena, their hearts drawn to the promise of peace, while the men leaned toward Poseidon, their minds on the power of the sea. Others tell of Cecrops alone making the choice, his wisdom guiding him to the gift that would endure. In the end, the people chose Athena. The olive tree, with its promise of sustenance and stability, won their hearts, and the city took her name, a place that would become a cradle of philosophy, art, and democracy. Imagine that moment, the crowd's voices rising in a soft cheer, the olive tree standing proud under the sun, its leaves catching the light like a crown of silver. Athena, her face calm and radiant, accepted their choice, her gift taking root in the soil of the city that would bear her name. But Poseidon, the sea god, did not accept defeat lightly. His heart, as vast and tempestuous as the ocean, stirred with anger, and the earth trembled faintly beneath his feet. Picture the sky darkening, clouds gathering like a storm over the sea, as Poseidon raised his trident once more. In his wrath, he sent a flood to the plain, the waters of his domain sweeping over the land, a reminder of his power. Imagine the waves rushing in, their foam white and fierce, lapping at the roots of the olive tree, testing the resolve of the people who had chosen against him. Some say he flooded the Thriasian plain, the waters pooling where the city might have stood, a mark of his displeasure. Others tell of the gods intervening, Zeus or Athena herself, calming his rage, ensuring the city's safety. The flood receded, the olive tree stood firm, and Athens began to rise, its temples and agora taking shape under Athena's watchful eye. Yet Poseidon's presence lingered, the nearby sea a constant reminder of his might, its waves a song that would never fade. As you linger in this tale, picture the plain once more, now quiet under a starlit sky. The olive tree sways gently, its leaves whispering of wisdom, while the distant sea murmurs Poseidon's name, its tides a lullaby that carries across the ages. The contest was more than a rivalry. It was a moment that shaped a city, a story that wove the sea and the land into the fabric of human dreams. Poseidon, though he lost the patronage of Athens, remained a god of power, his tridents still commanding the waves, his horses galloping through other lands, his springs watering other fields. Imagine standing on that hill, the air cool and soft, the scent of olives and salt mingling, as the city of Athens begins to take form in the distance, its future bright under Athena's care. Asterisk, asterisk, the contest for Athens is a tale of choice, of the balance between might and wisdom, of the gods who shape the world with their gifts. Poseidon's spring oar, his horse, spoke of the sea's endless power, its ability to give and take, to cradle or consume. Athena's olive tree spoke of endurance, of a city that would stand through centuries, its legacy written in stone. And thought as you listen, let the images blend in your mind, the spring's clear waters, the horse's proud gallop, the olive tree's quiet strength. Feel the rhythm of the sea in the distance, its waves a gentle cadence, like the breath of the earth itself. Poseidon's story continues, his powers vast, his heart as deep as the ocean, and as we drift toward the next chapter, let the tale of this contest guide you, like a ship gliding toward a distant shore, its sails filled with the breath of the divine. Chapter 4. The Trojan War and Divine Alliances. The Trojan War began with a spark of divine discord, a quarrel among gods that spilled into the mortal world. Imagine a grand banquet on Mount Olympus, the air shimmering with divine light, the tables laden with ambrosia and nectar. Into this gathering Eris, the goddess of strife, cast a golden apple, its surface inscribed with the words to the fairest: Hera, queen of the gods, Athena, goddess of wisdom, and Aphrodite, goddess of love. Each claimed the prize, their voices rising like a storm. To settle the dispute, Zeus, unwilling to choose, sent them to Paris, a prince of Troy, a mortal whose decision would ripple across the world. Picture Paris standing on a Trojan hill, the apple gleaming in his hand, the goddesses before him radiant and proud. Aphrodite's promise of love, the hand of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, swayed his heart. He chose her, and with that choice, the seeds of war were sown. Helen, wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta, was taken to Troy, her beauty a flame that drew the Greeks to follow. Imagine the Greek ships gathering, their sails catching the wind, their prows cutting through the waves under Poseidon's watchful eye. The sea god, his heart as vast and turbulent as the ocean, chose to side with the Greeks, his power a force that would shape the war's tides. But why did Poseidon, lord of the sea, align with the Achaeans against the Trojans? The answer lies in a tale of betrayal, a wound to his divine pride. Picture the walls of Troy, their stones laid by Poseidon's own hands, a labor from an earlier time. Long before the war, Poseidon and Apollo, the god of prophecy, were tasked by Zeus to serve Laomedon, king of Troy. They built the city's mighty walls, their divine skill making them impregnable, a fortress to stand against time. But Laomedon, proud and foolish, refused to pay the gods their due. Imagine Poseidon's anger, his trident raised, the sea stirring in response to his wrath. He sent a sea monster to plague Troy's shores, a creature of scales and fury, its roars echoing across the waves. Though the monster was slain, Poseidon's grudge endured, a tide of resentment that would flood the Trojan War as the Greek ships sailed toward Troy. Poseidon's power guided their journey. Picture a fleet of 1,000 vessels, their oars dipping into the sea, their sails taut with the breath of the wind. The waters, under Poseidon's command, were kind, the waves gentle, the currents swift, carrying heroes like Agamemnon, Achilles, and Odysseus to the shores of Troy. Imagine the Greek camp rising on the beach, tents pitched in the shadow of Troy's walls, the sea a constant companion, its rhythm a reminder of Poseidon's presence. In the battles that followed, his favor was a shield for the Greeks. Picture the clash of bronze, the shouts of warriors, the dust rising from the plain. Poseidon, his trident gleaming, stirred the earth to aid the Greeks, sending tremors to unsettled Trojan defenses, or calming the seas to ensure supplies reached the Greek camp. His voice, like the roar of the tide, inspired heroes, urging them to fight with the strength of the waves. Yet the gods were divided. their alliances as tangled as the currents of a stormy sea. On the Greek side, Poseidon stood with Athena, her wisdom a sharp contrast to his raw power, and Hera, whose hatred for Troy burned as fiercely as his own. Imagine their councils on Olympus, the air heavy with divine will, as they planned to aid their chosen mortals. Athena, her owl perched nearby, wove strategies that turned battles, while Poseidon's might ensured their success. Hera, her eyes blazing, sought Troy's fall to punish Paris's slight. But across the divide, Aphrodite, Apollo, and Ares rallied to Troy's defense. Picture Aphrodite, her beauty a beacon, shielding Paris and his kin, while Apollo's arrows struck Greeks from afar, and Ares, god of war, fueled Trojan courage. The sea, however, was Poseidon's domain, and his favor tipped the scales, his waves a constant threat to Troy's shores. One of Poseidon's most vivid moments came during a critical hour of the war. Picture the Greek army faltering, their spirits low, the Trojan forces pressing hard. Achilles, the greatest of Greek warriors, had withdrawn, his pride wounded, leaving the Greeks vulnerable. Imagine the plain before Troy, dust swirling, spears flashing, the cries of battle rising to the sky. Poseidon, seeing the tide turn against his allies, took mortal form to rally them. Picture him as an aged seer, his eyes like the depths of the sea, his voice carrying the weight of the waves. He walked among the Greeks, his words igniting their courage, urging them to stand firm. "Fight on," he said, "for the gods are with you." The Greeks, their hearts stirred, surged forward, their spears a forest of bronze, their shields gleaming like the sea under sunlight. Poseidon's presence, though unseen as a god, was felt in every clash, every victory that followed. The war stretched across 10 years, a saga of blood and bronze, of heroes rising and falling under the god's gaze. Imagine the nights on the Trojan plain, the campfires flickering, the sea's murmur a constant lullaby. Poseidon's hand was in every storm that spared the Greek ships, every tremor that shook Trojan resolve. Yet his alliances were not without tension. Picture a moment on Olympus, the gods gathered, their voices sharp as they debated the war's course. Athena, her mind clear, urged strategy, while Poseidon's temper flared, his trident striking the floor, sending echoes like distant thunder. Hera, ever steadfast, smoothed their discord, her will aligning them to crush Troy. Against them, Apollo and Aphrodite wove their own plans, their loyalty to Troy a countercurrent to Poseidon's tide. The sea god's power, however, was unmatched in his realm, his waves a force no Trojan ship could defy. One tale stands out, a moment when Poseidon's might turned the war's tide. Picture the Greeks building a great wooden horse, a cunning gift devised by Odysseus, its hollow belly hiding warriors. The Trojans, weary of war, saw it as an offering of peace, and drew it within their walls. Imagine the night that followed, the city asleep, the sea quiet under Poseidon's watchful eye. The Greek warriors emerged, their swords flashing, and the city fell, its towers consumed by fire. Poseidon's role was subtle, but profound. His calm seas had allowed the Greeks to approach, his earth-shaking power weakening Troy's defenses over years. As the flames rose, the sea whispered of his victory. A city that had scorned him, now broken by his will. But Poseidon's involvement was not without complexity. Imagine a moment when he and Apollo, once allies in building Troy's walls, faced each other across the divine divide. Apollo, his bow drawn, defended Troy, while Poseidon's trident stirred the earth against it. Their past labor, the stones they had set together, now stood as a monument to their broken bond. Picture Poseidon gazing at those walls, his heart a mix of pride and bitterness, the sea's roar echoing his resolve. His alliance with the Greeks was not just vengeance, it was a reclaiming of his honor, a tide that would not be turned back. As the war ended, Troy's ruins smoldered by the sea, its people scattered, its glory a memory. Imagine the Greek ships departing, their sails catching the wind, the waves gentle under Poseidon's command. The sea god, his trident lowered, watched them sail home, his role in their victory, a silent current beneath their triumph. The Trojan War, a tale of gods and mortals, of love and betrayal, was shaped by Poseidon's hand. His power, a force that turned the tide of fate. As you listen, picture the sea stretching before Troy's fallen walls, its waves a mirror of the god's heart, fierce yet forgiving, wild yet calm. Asterisk, asterisk, let this story settle over you, like the tide washing over a quiet shore. Imagine the campfires fading, the sea's rhythm a lullaby that carries the weight of heroes and gods. Poseidon's alliances, his power over sea and earth, wove a tale that has endured through centuries, a saga of war and divine will. Picture yourself standing on that Trojan shore, the air cool with the scent of salt and smoke, the waves whispering of Poseidon's might. As we drift toward the next chapter, where his wrath against a lone hero unfolds, let the sea's cadence guide you, its rise and fall, a gentle pull toward dreams. Chapter 5. The Wrath of Poseidon, Odysseus' Odyssey. As you lie there, let your mind drift to the open sea, where the waves roll under a sky heavy with stars, their light flickering like distant fires. The air is cool, scented with salt and the promise of distant lands, and the rhythm of the tide is a gentle lullaby, rocking you toward sleep. This is the world of Odysseus, the cunning hero of Ithaca, whose journey home from the Trojan War became a legend of endurance and guile. But it is also the domain of Poseidon, the sea god whose wrath turned a simple voyage into a decade of trials. Picture the vast ocean stretching before you, its depths dark and unyielding, its surface alive with the will of a god. As you listen, let the tale of Poseidon's feud with Odysseus unfold, a story of divine anger and mortal resilience. As soothing as the sea's eternal song, the Trojan War had ended, its fires fading into memory, and the Greek heroes set sail for home, their ships cutting through the waves under Poseidon's watchful eye. Odysseus, king of Ithaca, was among them, his mind sharp as a blade, his heart longing for his wife, Penelope, and his son, Telemachus. Imagine his ship, its sails taut, its oars dipping into the sea, the crew weary but hopeful as they sailed from Troy's ruined shores. The sea was calm at first, a gift from Poseidon, who had favored the Greeks in their victory. But fate, as it often does, turned against the hero, and a single act would ignite the sea god's wrath, setting Odysseus on a path of endless wandering. The trouble began on an island, where the Cyclops, Polyphemus, a giant with a single eye, lived in a cave by the sea. Picture that rugged shore, the cliffs rising sharp against the sky, the cave's mouth dark and foreboding. Odysseus and his men, seeking food and shelter, entered the cave, unaware that Polyphemus was no ordinary foe. He was a son of Poseidon, born of the sea nymph Theusa, his strength as vast as the ocean, his temper as fierce as a storm. The Cyclops trapped the men, devouring some with a cruelty that chilled their hearts. But Odysseus, ever cunning, devised a plan. Imagine him sharpening a wooden stake, its point hardened in the fire, as he whispered to his crew under the cave's flickering shadows. With wine to dull the giant's senses, they drove the stake into Polyphemus's eye, blinding him in a roar of pain that echoed like the crash of waves. The escape was daring, a testament to Odysseus's wit. Picture the men clinging to the bellies of the Cyclops' sheep, their hands gripping wool as they slipped past the giant's groping hands. They reached their ship, the sea sparkling under the dawn, and sailed away, their hearts pounding with triumph. But Odysseus, proud and bold, could not resist a final taunt. As the ship pulled from the shore, he shouted his name, Odysseus of Ithaca, mocking the blinded Cyclops. Imagine Polyphemus standing on the cliff, his voice a bellow of rage, his hands hurling boulders into the sea, each one splashing near the fleeing ship. His cry reached his father Poseidon, a plea for vengeance that stirred the god's heart. Picture the sea darkening, clouds gathering like a shroud. As Poseidon's eyes turned to the hero who had harmed his son, the sea god's wrath was swift and unrelenting. Imagine the ocean rising, its waves swelling into giants, their crests white with fury. Poseidon, his trident raised, summoned storms that tore at Odysseus's ship, the wind howling like a chorus of vengeful spirits. The crew, their faces pale, clung to the mast, their prayers lost in the gale. For 10 years, Odysseus would wander, his journey home, a tapestry of trials, woven by Poseidon's anger. Picture the sea as a living force, its currents pulling the ship off course, its storms driving it to strange lands. Each wave, each gust, carried the god's will, a reminder that no mortal could defy Poseidon and escape unscathed. One trial brought Odysseus to the island of the Phaeacians, a people blessed by the sea. Imagine their shores, lush with orchards, the air sweet with the scent of fruit and salt. The Phaeacians, skilled mariners under Poseidon's favor, welcomed Odysseus, their palace gleaming with bronze and gold. Picture him sitting among them, his voice steady as he recounted his tales of shipwrecks, monsters, and gods. The Phaeacian king, moved by his story, offered a ship to carry him home. But even here, Poseidon's wrath lingered. As the Phaeacian ship neared Ithaca, the sea god, his heart unyielding, turned it to stone, a warning to those who would aid his foe. Imagine that ship, frozen mid-wave, its sails forever stilled, a monument to Poseidon's power rising from the sea. Another trial led Odysseus to the island of Circe, the enchantress. Picture her palace, hidden in a grove, its halls filled with the scent of herbs and magic. Circe, with a wave of her wand, turned men to beasts, but Odysseus, aided by Hermes, resisted her spells. Imagine him dining with her, the firelight dancing on the walls, as she warned him of dangers ahead. Scylla, the many-headed monster, and Charybdis, a whirlpool that swallowed the sea. Some say Charybdis was born of Poseidon, a creature of his wrath, her vortex a trap for sailors who dared his waters. Picture Odysseus's ship navigating that narrow strait, the waves roaring, the whirlpool pulling. As he steered between death and doom, his heart heavy with the cost of survival. Through these trials, Poseidon's presence was a constant shadow. Imagine the nights at sea, the stars hidden by clouds, the crew weary and fearful. Odysseus, standing at the helm, gazed into the waves, knowing the god's eyes were upon him. Each storm, each monster, each lost companion was a thread in Poseidon's tapestry of vengeance. Yet Odysseus endured his cunning, a light against the darkness. Picture him alone, clinging to a raft after a shipwreck, the sea tossing him like a leaf, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. The waves, though fierce, could not claim him, for other gods Athena, his protector, wove their own will into his fate, a countercurrent to Poseidon's wrath. As the years passed, the sea god's anger began to ebb, like a tide retreating from the shore. Imagine a quiet night, the sea calm at last, its surface a mirror of the stars. Odysseus, nearing Ithaca, saw its cliffs rise in the distance, their outline familiar and dear. Poseidon, watching from his coral palace, his trident resting at his side, allowed the hero's return, his vengeance satisfied by a decade of trials. Picture Ithaca's harbor, the waves lapping gently, as Odysseus stepped ashore, his feet touching the earth of home. The sea, once his enemy, now lay still, a testament to Poseidon's power and his ability to forgive. This tale of wrath and wandering is a song of the sea, of a god whose heart is as deep and changeable as the ocean. Picture Odysseus kneeling on the shore, offering thanks to the gods, the waves whispering behind him. Poseidon, his anger spent, turned his gaze to other shores, his trident shaping new tides, new stories. As you listen, let the rhythm of the sea fill your mind, its rise and fall, a gentle cadence, like the breath of the world. The story of Odysseus and Poseidon is one of struggle and survival, of divine power and mortal will, a tale that has lulled listeners for centuries. Imagine yourself on that shore, the air cool, the stars bright, as the sea sings its ancient song. As we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's love and legacy unfold, let the tide guide you, its rhythm a soft pull toward dreams. Chapter 6. Love and Offspring, a Prolific Legacy. Poseidon, Lord of the Sea, was not only a god of power, but also one of love, his heart drawn to both mortals and immortals, his unions weaving a tapestry of heroes, monsters, and wonders. His greatest love was Amphitrite, a Nereid, one of the sea nymphs, whose grace matched the beauty of the waves. Imagine a coral reef, its colors vibrant under the sunlit sea, where Amphitrite danced among her sisters, her hair flowing like currents, her laughter a melody that mingled with the tide. Poseidon, struck by her beauty, pursued her with the ardor of a storm. Picture him riding his golden chariot, drawn by hippocamps, their fish-like tails gleaming, as he sought her across the ocean's depths. At first, Amphitrite fled, shy of his divine intensity, hiding among the islands of the Aegean. But Poseidon's persistence, tempered by gentleness, won her heart, and she became his queen, ruling beside him in a palace of pearl and coral beneath. The waves imagine that palace, its halls glowing with the soft light of glowing shells, its walls adorned with the treasures of the sea. Amphitrite sat on a throne beside Poseidon, her presence calming his tempestuous nature, her voice a song that stilled the wildest storms. Together, they bore children who carried the essence of the sea. Picture Triton, their son, a merman with a human form above and a fish's tail below, his conch-shell trumpet, calling the waves to rise or fall. Imagine him swimming through the deep, his scales catching the light, a guardian of his father's realm. Other children followed Rhode, the nymph of the island Rhodes, her beauty a reflection of the sun on the sea, and Benthesyme, a wave maiden whose name means deep swell, her spirit as fluid as the tides. As you envision this divine family, let the image of their underwater home cradle you, its tranquility a balm to the mind. But Poseidon's heart was not bound to Amphitrite alone. Like the sea, his love flowed freely, touching mortals and goddesses alike, each union giving rise to a legacy as varied as the ocean's moods. Picture a quiet shore, where the waves lap gently against the sand, and Athra, a mortal princess, walked under the stars. Poseidon, drawn to her grace, appeared in a shimmer of sea mist, his presence both mighty and tender. From their union came Theseus, a hero destined to slay the Minotaur and rule Athens. Imagine Theseus as a youth, standing by the sea, his eyes reflecting his father's strength, his heart bold with the courage of the waves. Poseidon's gift to him was a divine birthright, a spark that guided him through labyrinths and battles, a legacy that would echo through Greece. Another tale of love unfolded with Medusa, a maiden whose beauty rivaled the dawn. Picture a temple by the sea, its columns white against the azure waves, where Medusa caught Poseidon's eye. Their union, though shrouded in mystery, gave birth to wonders, born of the sea's wild heart. When Perseus, the hero, later struck off Medusa's head, two beings sprang forth: Pegasus, the winged horse, his mane like sea foam, his wings carrying him to the skies, and Chrysaor, a golden warrior whose name means golden sword. Imagine Pegasus galloping across the waves, his hooves barely touching the water, a creature of both sea and sky, a testament to Poseidon's boundless creativity. As you listen, let the image of Pegasus soaring under the stars fill your mind, a vision, a freedom that soothes the soul. Not all of Poseidon's offspring were heroes. Picture a rocky island, its cliffs battered by waves, where Thusa, a sea nymph, met the god in a dance of tide and shadow. From their union came Polyphemus, the Cyclops, a giant with a single eye, his strength as vast as the cliffs he called home. though he brought grief to Odysseus. As you heard in the last tale, Polyphemus was a son of Poseidon, his power a reflection of the sea's untamed might. Imagine him standing by his cave, the sea roaring below, his voice a bellow that carried his father's pride. Poseidon's love for his children, whether hero or monster, was as deep as the ocean, each one a thread in the tapestry of his legacy. Another story tells of Persephone, the queen of Crete, whose fate was twisted by Poseidon's will. Picture the island of Crete, its hills green with vineyards, its palace gleaming under the sun. King Minos, Persephone's husband, failed to honor Poseidon, refusing to sacrifice a magnificent bull sent by the god. In retribution, Poseidon stirred Persephone's heart with a strange love for the bull, a tale woven with magic and mystery. From this union came the Minotaur, a creature, half man, half bull, its roars echoing through the labyrinth where it was confined. Imagine the labyrinth's dark corridors, the air heavy with the scent of stone and fear. The Minotaur, a symbol of Poseidon's power to create and to punish. Though born of wrath, the Minotaur was part of Poseidon's legacy, a reminder of the sea god's reach into the lives of mortals. Poseidon's love also touched the earth itself. Picture a quiet meadow where Gaia, the Earth Mother, met the sea god in a union of land and sea. From their embrace came Antaeus, a giant whose strength flowed from the earth, his body invincible as long as he touched the ground. Imagine him, wrestling challengers, his feet rooted to the soil, his laughter like the rumble of waves. Another child, Charybdis, was born of this union, a sea monster whose whirlpool mouth swallowed ships and seas alike. Picture her vortex spinning in a narrow strait, the water roaring as it spiraled, a force of nature born of Poseidon's wild heart. As you envision these beings, let the rhythm of the sea calm you, its currents a reminder of the god's boundless love. Each child, each love, added to Poseidon's legacy, a family as diverse as the sea's many moods. Imagine a festival by the shore, the people gathered to honor the sea god, their voices rising in song, their offerings of flowers and shells cast into the waves. They told tales of these 5196us, who walked the paths of heroes, of Pegasus, who soared above the clouds, of Polyphemus, whose strength shook the cliffs. They spoke of Amphitrite, the queen whose grace tempered Poseidon's storms, and of the countless others whose lives were touched by his love. Picture the firelight dancing on the sand, the sea sparkling under the moon, as the stories wove a connection between the mortal and the divine. As you listen, let the images of Poseidon's loves fill your mind. Picture Amphitrite, dancing among the waves, her laughter a melody that soothes the heart. Imagine Theseus standing by the sea, his sword gleaming, ready to face his destiny. See Pegasus taking flight, his wings a blur against the sky, and Polyphemus gazing out from his cave. The sea his father's gift, the Minotaur Charybdis, Antaeus, part of a legacy that spans the earth and sea, a testament to Poseidon's heart, as vast and deep as the ocean itself. Feel the tide's gentle pull, its rhythm a lullaby that carries you closer to dreams, as we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's power as the earth shaker unfolds. Let the sea's song guide you, its waves a soft embrace that leads you into slumber. Chapter 7, Creator and Destroyer, Earthquakes and Springs. Poseidon, known to the Greeks as Inasexon, the earthshaker, holds a power that reaches beyond the waves, deep into the bones of the land. Imagine a quiet village nestled in a valley, its houses built of stone, its fields green with the promise of harvest. The people sleep under a blanket of stars, their dreams undisturbed, until a low rumble stirs the night. Picture the earth trembling, the ground quaking as if stirred by an unseen force. Poseidon, standing in his coral palace beneath the sea, raises his trident, its prongs gleaming with divine light, and strikes the ocean floor. The tremor ripples outward, shaking cliffs, rattling olive trees, and sending stones tumbling into the sea. This is the might of the Earthshaker, a god whose anger can split mountains, whose will can reshape the land itself. The villagers awake, their hearts racing, offering prayers to appease the god whose power they feel in the earth's restless pulse. Yet Poseidon's tremors are not always born of wrath. Sometimes they are a reminder of his presence, a call to the mortal world to honor the sea god's dominion. Imagine a coastal city, its walls kissed by the spray of the waves, its people gathered in a temple adorned with shells and coral. They sing hymns to Poseidon, their voices blending with the sound of the sea, thanking him for the fish that fill their nets and the voyages that bring them home. But when the earth shakes, they pause, their hands raised in reverence, knowing the god is near. Picture a priest standing by an altar, his robes fluttering in the sea breeze, pouring wine onto the ground as an offering to the Earthshaker. The tremor passes, the air grows still, and the people return to their lives, their faith in Poseidon's power renewed. But Poseidon is not only a destroyer, he is also a creator, a god whose trident brings forth life from the earth. Picture a dry, sun-scorched plain, where the soil cracks under the weight of a relentless summer. The people, their faces etched with worry, pray for water to save their crops and flocks. Poseidon, hearing their pleas, appears in a shimmer of sea mist, his trident raised, his eyes as deep as the ocean. With a single strike, he pierces the ground, and a spring bursts forth, its waters clear and cool, bubbling up like a gift from the deep. Imagine the stream winding through the plain, its banks soon lined with green, its flow a lifeline for the village. Farmers kneel by its edge, their hands cupping the water, their voices raised in gratitude to the god who has brought life to their land. These springs, born of Poseidon's will, are more than mere water. They are symbols of his benevolence, a bridge between his sea and the earth. Picture a rocky hillside, where a new spring sparkles in the sunlight, its surface catching the colors of the sky blue, gold, and rose. Travelers pause to drink, their thirst quenched, their hearts lifted by the god's gift. In ancient Greece, such springs were sacred, often marked by altars or small shrines, their waters used in rituals to honor Poseidon. Imagine a maiden carrying a clay jug, her steps light as she fills it with spring water, offering a prayer to the sea god for her family's prosperity. The spring's gentle flow, like the tide's rhythm, is a reminder of Poseidon's dual nature, fierce yet kind, wild yet nurturing. One tale tells of a spring created in a moment of divine rivalry, a story you heard in the contest for Athens. Picture again that sunlit plain, where Poseidon and Athena vied for the city's patronage. Poseidon struck the earth with his trident, and a spring or, in some tales, a horse burst forth, a gift of water tied to his sea. Though the people chose Athena's olive tree, the spring remained, its waters a lasting mark of Poseidon's presence. Imagine standing by that spring, its flow steady and cool, the nearby olive tree swaying in the breeze. The two gifts, side by side, tell of a god whose power is matched by his desire to give, even in defeat. Another story speaks of Poseidon's role in shaping the land itself. Picture the island of Delos, a sacred place floating in the Aegean, its shores kissed by gentle waves. In ancient times, it was said to drift, unmoored, until Poseidon anchored it with his power, striking the seafloor to root it in place. Imagine the island settling, its cliffs rising proud, its soil welcoming the birth of Apollo and Artemis. Children of Zeus, the people of Delos honored Poseidon, their altars adorned with shells, their songs thanking the god who gave their island a home. As you envision this scene, let the image of Delos, steady amid the waves, calm your mind. Its stability, a gift from the Earthshaker. Poseidon's power as creator and destroyer also shaped the myths of heroes and cities. Picture the land of Argos, where a king named Danaus sought water for his parched people. Poseidon, moved by their need, struck the earth, and a spring flowed, its waters sustaining the city through generations. Imagine the people gathering by its banks, their voices raised in song, their offerings of flowers and wine cast into the stream. In another tale, the city of Trozen revered Poseidon for a spring that saved their fields, its flow a testament to his care. Picture a festival in Trozen, the air alive with music, the spring's waters sparkling as dancers weave around it. Their steps a tribute to the god who shapes the land. But not all of Poseidon's acts were gentle. When angered, his earthquakes could bring ruin. Imagine a city that defied him, its people neglecting his altars, their ships sailing without offerings. Poseidon, his heart stirred to wrath, raised his trident, and the earth shook, walls crumbling, towers falling into dust. Picture the sea rising in sympathy, its waves flooding the shore, a reminder of the god's power. Yet even in destruction, there was purpose, for Poseidon's tremors cleared the way for new beginnings, new springs, new stories. The people rebuilt, their altars renewed, their faith in the sea, God strengthened by the lessons of his might. As you listen, let the images of Poseidon's power fill your mind. Picture the earth trembling, its rumble a distant echo of his strike, yet fading into stillness. Imagine a spring bubbling from the ground, its waters a gift that soothes the land, its flow a melody that calms the heart. The cliffs stand firm, the waves crash gently, and the earth hums with the gods' presence. Poseidon, the earthshaker, the giver of springs, is a god of balance. His power both fierce and kind, his gifts both wild and nurturing. Feel the rhythm of the sea in the distance, its tides a lullaby that carries you closer to dreams. Picture a coastal shrine, its stones worn smooth by the waves, where a lone figure offers a shell to Poseidon. The air soft with the scent of salt and prayer. The tales of his earthquakes and springs are woven into the fabric of the world, stories that connect the sea to the land, the divine to the mortal. Imagine a farmer by a spring, his hands wet with its water, his heart full of gratitude. Picture a sailor on a cliff, gazing at the sea, his voice raised in thanks for the god who calms the storms. The earth, the water, the waves all carry Poseidon's touch, a legacy that endures in every tremor, every stream. As we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's worship and festivals come to life, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its rhythm a soft embrace that leads you into slumber. Chapter 8. Worship and Festivals, Honoring the Sea God. As you lie there, let your mind drift to a sunlit shore, where the sea stretches endlessly before you, its waves whispering secrets as old as the earth itself. The air is warm, scented with salt and the faint perfume of wild thyme clinging to the cliffs. In the distance, voices rise in song, their melody blending with the rhythm of the tide, a chorus of devotion to Poseidon, the god who rules the sea, shakes the earth, and tames the horses. Picture a coastal city, its white stone walls gleaming. Under the sun, its people gathered to honor their divine protector. As you listen, let the tale of Poseidon's worship and the festivals held in his name envelop you. A story of reverence and celebration, as soothing as the gentle lap of waves guiding you toward sleep. In ancient Greece, Poseidon was a god revered by those whose lives were tied to the sea. Sailors, fishermen, and coastal dwellers who felt his presence in every breeze, every tide. Imagine a small fishing village, its harbor alive, with boats bobbing on the water, their nets heavy with the day's catch. At dawn, the villagers gather by the shore, their feet sinking into the cool sand, their hands carrying offerings of shells, flowers, and polished stones. Picture a priest standing before a simple altar, its surface adorned with coral and driftwood, pouring wine into the sea as a gift to Poseidon. The waves seem to shimmer in response, catching the first light of the sun, as if the god himself acknowledges their devotion. The people's prayers are soft, their voices a murmur of thanks for safe voyages, bountiful catches, and the storms that pass them by. One of the greatest honors to Poseidon was the Isthmian Games, a grand festival held every 2 years near the city of Corinth, where the land narrows between two seas. Picture the isthmus, a strip of earth kissed by the waves, its air filled with the scent of pine and salt. The games were a spectacle of strength and skill, a celebration of Poseidon's power as the tamer of horses and lord of the sea. Imagine the crowds gathering, their tunics bright against the green hills, their cheers rising as athletes compete in races, wrestling, and chariot contests. Picture the chariots thundering across the track, their wheels spinning, the horses' hooves drumming like the pulse of the tide, each one a tribute to Poseidon's gift to humanity. The victors, crowned with wreaths of pine or later, dry celery, stood before a temple dedicated to the sea god, their triumphs a reflection of his divine favor. The temple at the isthmus, sacred to Poseidon, stood as a beacon of worship. Imagine its columns rising tall, carved with images of dolphins and waves, its altar piled with offerings of fish and shells. Priests in flowing robes chanted hymns, their voices echoing through the stone halls, while the sea in the distance sang its own song. Picture a young athlete, his brow damp with sweat, kneeling before the altar, offering a small statue of a horse carved from wood, his heart full of gratitude for the strength that carried him to victory. The festival was more than a contest. It was a moment of connection, a time when mortals and the divine drew close, bound by the rhythm of the sea and the earth. Another sacred site was the temple at Sunyun, perched on a cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea. Picture this promontory, its rocks weathered by wind and wave, the temple's white marble glowing under the sun. At dusk, the sea sparkles like a field of stars, and the air is alive with the hum of prayers. Every 4 years, the people of Athens held boat races in Poseidon's honor, their vessels skimming the waves, their oars flashing in the light. Imagine standing on that cliff, the wind cool against your skin, watching the boats glide below, their sails painted with dolphins and tridents, symbols of the god who guards the sea. The winners offered their prizes golden cups or woven garlands to the temple, their voices raised in thanks to Poseidon for the winds that filled their sails and the waves that carried them home. In other places, Poseidon's worship took on unique forms. Picture the oracle at Tanarum, a cave by the sea where the air was thick with mystery. Pilgrims traveled to its dark entrance, their torches flickering, seeking the god's guidance through dreams and whispers. Imagine a sailor standing at the cave's mouth, his hands clutching a shell, his heart heavy with questions about a voyage to come. The sea's murmur seemed to carry Poseidon's voice, offering wisdom as deep as the ocean. At On sanctuary in Boeotia, chariots were dedicated to the god, their wheels stilled as offerings. Picture a procession winding through olive groves, the chariots adorned with flowers, their drivers chanting hymns to the tamer of horses, the air alive with the scent of earth and sea. Coastal cities like Poseidonia, named for Poseidon, held festivals that filled the air with music and light. Imagine a summer evening, the shore lined with torches, their flames dancing in the breeze. The people gathered, their voices rising in song, as they cast offerings into the waves' bowls, horses, or carved figures of dolphins. Picture a young girl, her hair braided with seaweed, tossing a garland into the sea, her prayer for her father's safe return from a voyage. The waves seemed to accept the gift, curling gently around it, a sign of Poseidon's favor. These rituals, simple yet profound, bound the people to the sea god, their lives intertwined with his power. The month of Poseidon, in the Athenian calendar, was a time of special reverence. Picture Athens in winter, the air crisp, the city's hills dusted with frost. The people gathered for the Poseidon festival, their altars adorned with shells and fish, their songs a tribute to the god who protected their harbors. Imagine a family, standing by the sea, their hands joined, offering a basket of bread and fruit to the waves, their voices soft with thanks for the year's blessings. The festival was a moment of unity, a time when the city paused to honor the sea that surrounded it. Its tides a reminder of Poseidon's ever-present watch. Sacrifices to Poseidon were often grand, reflecting his might. Picture a coastal altar, its stones smoothed by years of offerings, where a white bull stood, its horns crowned with garlands. The priests, their robes flowing, chanted as they led the bull to the sea's edge, its life offered to the god, who gave them fish and safe passage. In some places, horses were cast into the waves, their manes floating like foam, a tribute to the tamer of horses. Imagine the moment of sacrifice, the air heavy with incense, the sea sparkling as if in acceptance, the people's prayers rising like the tide. These acts, solemn and sacred, were a bridge to the divine, a way to touch the heart of the sea god. As you listen, let the images of these rituals fill your mind. Picture the Isthmian games, the chariots racing, the crowds cheering, the temple glowing under the sun. Imagine Sunyan's cliff, the boat races below, the waves catching the light of dusk. See the oracle's cave, its shadows whispering of Poseidon's wisdom, and the altars by the sea, their offerings carried away by the tide. The songs, the sacrifices, the festivals all are threads in a tapestry of worship, woven with reverence for the god who rules the sea. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their gentle rise and fall, a lullaby that soothes the soul. Picture a fisherman by his boat, his hands rough with rope, offering a prayer to Poseidon. The air soft with the scent of salt and hope. The worship of Poseidon was a bond between mortal and divine, a celebration of the sea's gifts and the earth's strength. Imagine a coastal city at night, its lights reflecting on the water, the people gathered to sing of the god who shapes their lives. The waves answer, their murmur a melody that carries across centuries, a song of devotion that lulls the heart. As we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's presence in art and culture comes to life, let the tide's rhythm guide you, its gentle pull, a soft embrace that leads you into slumber. Chapter 9. Poseidon in Art and Culture. The sea is near, its waves a gentle murmur, their rhythm blending with the soft chatter of artisans and poets. This is a world where Poseidon, lord of the sea, shaker of the earth, and tamer of horses, lives not only in myth but in the art and culture that shaped a civilization. Picture a temple's pediment, its figures frozen in divine motion, or a clay vase painted with scenes of the sea god's might. As you listen, let the tale of Poseidon's presence in art and culture envelop you. A story of beauty and reverence, as soothing as the tide that lulls you toward sleep in the heart of ancient Greece. Poseidon's image was everywhere, a testament to his power and the awe he inspired. Imagine standing before the Parthenon in Athens, its western pediment, a masterpiece of marble, carved in the 5th century BCE. Picture Poseidon there, his form towering and majestic, his beard flowing like the waves, his trident raised as if to command the sea. He stands beside Athena, their figures locked in the moment of their contest for the city, a scene you heard earlier. The sculptor's chisel has captured the god's strength, his muscles taut, his gaze piercing, yet there is a grace in his stance, a reminder of the sea's calm as well as its storms. As you envision this pediment, its marble glowing under the sun, let the image of Poseidon's divine presence settle over you, a vision of power and serenity. Walk now to a bustling workshop, where potters shape clay into vases, their surface is a canvas for the god's stories. Picture a black figure vase, its dark silhouette alive with scenes of Poseidon's realm. See him riding his golden chariot, drawn by hippocamps, those wondrous creatures with the heads of horses and tails of fish, their scales glinting as they skim the waves. Dolphins leap around him, their forms curved in joyful arcs, while nereids, the sea nymphs, dance in the background, their robes flowing like currents. Imagine holding this vase, its surface cool against your hands, the painted figures telling tales of the sea god's adventures. One vase shows him wielding his trident, stirring a storm to challenge a hero's ship, the waves curling like living things. Another captures him, beside Amphitrite, his queen, their figures framed by the sea's embrace, a moment of divine love, frozen in clay. These vases, carried across Greece and beyond, brought Poseidon's image into homes and sanctuaries. Picture a merchant in a distant port, unpacking a crate of pottery, each vase a story to share with sailors and traders. The scenes of Poseidon, his chariot racing, his trident striking, his dolphins dancing were more than art. They were a connection to the god who guarded the seas. Imagine a fisherman's home, a simple clay lamp flickering, its light falling on a vase painted with Poseidon's form, a reminder of the god who brought fish to his nets. As you linger on this image, let the soft glow of the lamp and the gentle curves of the vase's figures calm your mind. A bridge to the ancient world, where art and faith intertwined. Now picture a grand bronze statue, standing over 2 meters tall, its surface gleaming in the sunlight. This is the statue of Poseidon, or perhaps Zeus, as some debate, found off the coast of Cape Artemisium, a relic from around 460 BCE. Imagine it rising from the sea, its bronze polished by the waves, its form capturing the god in mid-motion, his arm drawn back as if to hurl his trident. Picture his stance, balanced and powerful, his eyes fixed on a distant horizon, his body a blend of strength and grace. This statue, now housed in a museum, once stood in a sanctuary, its presence a beacon of devotion. Imagine standing before it, the air cool with the scent of marble and salt, the statue's gaze seeming to follow you, a reminder of Poseidon's eternal watch over the sea. Let this image, grand yet serene, fill your thoughts, its quiet majesty, a soothing anchor. Poseidon's image also adorned coins, carried in the pouches of traders and travelers. Picture a silver tetradrachm from Macedon, minted in the days of kings long past, its surface stamped with Poseidon hurling his trident, his form dynamic, his power etched in metal. Imagine a merchant in a bustling market, his fingers brushing the coin's surface, feeling the god's strength in its weight. These coins, passed from hand to hand, spread Poseidon's image across the ancient world, a symbol of his dominion over the seas that connected cities and cultures. As you envision this coin, its silver catching the light, let its small, perfect form draw you deeper into the story, a token of the sea god's reach. In mosaics too, Poseidon's presence shimmered. Picture a grand villa, its floor a tapestry of colored stones, depicting the sea god in his chariot, surrounded by dolphins and sea creatures. Imagine the tiles glinting in the torchlight, the waves seeming to move, the hippocamp's tails curling as if alive. The mosaic tells a story of triumph, perhaps Poseidon calming a storm or guiding a ship to safety, his trident a scepter of power. Picture a family gathering around this floor, their voices soft as they share tales of the sea, the mosaic a backdrop to their lives. The art of Poseidon was not just decoration, it was a prayer, a way to bring the god's protection into the home, a reminder of his presence in every wave and tide. Poetry and hymns also wove Poseidon into the culture of Greece. Imagine a bard standing by a fire, his lyre strumming softly, his voice singing the Homeric hymn to Poseidon, its words praising the god who shakes the earth and calms the sea. Picture the listeners, their faces lit by the flames, their hearts stirred by the tale of the sea god's might. The Orphic hymns, too, called to Poseidon, their verses a melody of devotion, describing his chariot, his trident, his dolphins. Imagine a temple at dusk, the air heavy with incense, as priests chant these hymns, their voices blending with the sea's murmur, a song that carries the god's name into the night. As you listen, let the rhythm of these ancient words soothe you, their cadence, a lullaby that echoes the tide. Theater, too, brought Poseidon's stories to life. Picture a festival in Athens, the amphitheater filled with people, their eyes fixed on a stage where actors in masks portray the gods. In a tragedy or epic, Poseidon might appear, his voice booming, his trident raised, his words shaping the fate of heroes. Imagine the audience, their breath held, as the sea god's wrath or mercy unfolds, the drama a reflection of his power. These performances, held under the open sky, were a way to honor Poseidon, to bring his myths into the heart of the city, their stories lingering in the minds of those who watched. Poseidon's influence reached beyond art, shaping the culture of coastal Greece. Picture a sailor carving a dolphin into his ship's prow, a talisman to invoke the god's protection. Imagine a child in a seaside village, listening to her grandmother tell tales of Poseidon's chariot racing across the waves, her eyes wide with wonder. The sea god's presence was felt in every harbor, every fishing net, every storm that passed. His art and stories were a thread in the fabric of daily life, a reminder of the divine in the world around them. As you envision these scenes, let the images of carved dolphins, painted vases, and sung hymns fill your mind. Their beauty, a gentle pull toward dreams. The legacy of Poseidon's art endures, its images preserved in museums and ruins, its stories told in whispers by the sea. Picture a quiet evening, the waves lapping at a rocky shore, a broken column standing where a temple once rose. Imagine a vase, its paint faded but its figures clear, showing Poseidon in his glory, his trident raised, his chariot racing. Feel the weight of centuries in these artifacts, their stories a bridge to the ancient world, their beauty a lullaby for the soul. As you listen, let the rhythm of the sea guide you, its rise and fall a melody that soothes the heart. Poseidon, captured in stone, clay, and song, remains a god whose presence fills the world, his art a testament to his power and grace. As we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's timeless legacy unfolds, let the images of his art linger. Marble statues, painted vases, silver coins, enchanted hymns. Picture yourself standing by that ancient shore, the seas sparkling under the stars, the air soft with the scent of salt and stone. The tide's gentle pull carries you closer to sleep, its rhythm a song of the sea god's eternal watch. Let this tale of art and culture guide you, like a ship gliding toward a distant harbor, its sails filled with the breath of the divine. Chapter 10. A Timeless Tide. Poseidon's Legacy. Poseidon's legacy is as vast as the ocean, a force that has shaped the world from the dawn of myth to the present day. Picture the sea at dawn, its surface a mirror of gold and rose, its waves whispering secrets that have endured for millennia. In ancient Greece, Poseidon was more than a god. He was the heartbeat of the sea, the pulse of the earth, the spirit of the horses that carried heroes to glory. His name was spoken by sailors as they cast off from harbor, their hands clutching offerings of shells and wine, their prayers rising with the morning mist. Imagine a fisherman standing by his boat, his nets heavy with the sea's bounty, his voice soft with thanks to the god who filled them. Poseidon's presence was felt in every wave that kissed the shore, every spring that bubbled from the earth, every hoofbeat that stirred the dust of the plains. His myths, told and retold, are a tide that never recedes. Picture a village gathered around a fire, the night air cool, the flames casting shadows that dance like the waves. An elder, her voice steady and warm, recounts the tales of Poseidon, his contest with Athena, his wrath against Odysseus, his love for Amphitrite, his creation of horses. The children listen, their eyes wide, their hearts stirred by the god who commands the sea. These stories, passed from generation to generation, are a legacy that binds the mortal to the divine, a thread that weaves through the fabric of time. Imagine yourself among them, the fires glow soft on your face, the seas murmur in the distance, as the elders' words carry you into the world of myth, a world where Poseidon's power is as alive as the tide. The sea itself is Poseidon's greatest legacy, a realm that endures beyond the fall of empires. Picture a rocky cliff overlooking the Aegean, its waves crashing below, their foam white against the dark stone. This sea, vast and untamed, was Poseidon's kingdom, its every movement a reflection of his will. Sailors, their ships gliding through the waves, still feel his presence, their prayers echoing those of their ancestors. Imagine a modern mariner, his hands on the helm, gazing at the horizon. The sea, as wild and beautiful as it was in ancient days. The waves, the currents, the storms, they all carry Poseidon's name, a reminder of the god who shaped them. As you envision this scene, let the sea's rhythm soothe you, its rise and fall, a lullaby that calms the heart. The earth, too, bears Poseidon's mark. Picture a quiet valley, where a spring flows from a rocky hillside, its waters clear and cool, a gift from the god's trident. In ancient times, such springs were sacred, their banks lined with altars, their waters used in rituals to honor the Earthshaker. Imagine a farmer kneeling by the stream, his hands cupping the water, his voice raised in gratitude for the life it brings to his fields. Even today, the earth trembles with echoes of Poseidon's power. It quakes, a reminder of the god who can shake mountains and split the ground. Picture a coastal town, its houses nestled against cliffs, the ground stirring faintly, as if Poseidon still walks among them, his trident ready to shape the land anew. Horses, born of Poseidon's creation, carry his legacy across the plains. Imagine a herd galloping free, their manes flowing like the foam of the sea, their hooves drumming a rhythm that echoes the god's heart. In ancient Greece, horses were sacred to Poseidon, their races held in his honor, their strength a gift to humanity. Picture a chariot race at the Isthmian Games, the crowd cheering, the horses charging, their speed a tribute to the god who shaped them. Even now, the spirit of the horse wild, noble, and free carries Poseidon's essence, a legacy that runs through fields and stories alike. As you listen, let the sound of hoofbeats blend with the sea's murmur, a melody that draws you deeper into dreams. Poseidon's legacy also lives in the art and culture of Greece, as you heard in the tales of statues, vases, and hymns. Picture a museum today, its halls quiet, its cases filled with relics of the sea god's image. A bronze statue stands tall, its surface worn by time, yet its form still captures Poseidon's might. His trident raised, his gaze fixed on an unseen sea. Imagine a vase, its paint faded but its story clear, showing the god in his chariot, dolphins leaping around him. These artifacts, preserved through centuries, are a bridge to the ancient world, a testament to Poseidon's enduring presence. Picture yourself standing before them, the air cool and still, the figures seeming to move in the dim light, their stories whispering of the god who inspired them. His influence reaches beyond Greece, touching cultures that met the sea. Picture a Roman harbor, its ships sailing under Neptune. Poseidon's Roman name, their prows carved with dolphins in his honor. Imagine traders from distant lands, their coins stamped with the sea god's image, carrying his story across continents. The sea, a highway for ideas, spread Poseidon's legacy. His myths, blending with those of other gods, his power felt in every wave that touched a foreign shore. As you envision this, let the image of ships gliding across the sea fill your mind, their sails catching the wind, a symbol of the gods reach across time and space. Even in modern times, Poseidon's legacy lingers. Picture a coastal town, its people still telling tales of the sea's power, their festivals echoing the ancient rites of the Isthmian Games. Imagine a poet by the shore, her pen moving across the page, crafting verses about the god who stirs. The waves, the sea, the earth, the horses all carry his name, their stories a thread that connects the past to the present. Picture a child running along a beach, her laughter mingling with the waves, unaware that the sea she plays in is Poseidon's domain, its rhythm a legacy that endures. As you listen, let these images weave together, a tapestry of myth and memory that soothes the soul. Poseidon's legacy is not just in the stories or the art, but in the feeling of the sea itself. Imagine standing on a cliff, the wind cool against your skin, the waves crashing below, their sound a song that has never ceased. The sea is eternal, its tides a cycle that outlasts empires, its depths a mystery that draws the heart. Poseidon, the god who commands it, is a presence that lingers in every ripple, every storm, every spring that flows from the earth. Picture a sailor at dusk, his ship rocking gently, offering a silent prayer to the sea, his heart full of awe for its power. Imagine a farmer by a stream, its waters a gift from the god, his hands wet with gratitude. The legacy of Poseidon is in the world around us, in the rhythm that lulls us to sleep. As you lie there, let the images of Poseidon's legacy fill your mind. Picture the sea at twilight, its waves sparkling under the stars, its rhythm a lullaby that carries centuries of stories. Imagine the earth trembling faintly, a spring bubbling forth, a horse galloping across a plain, its mane like the foam of the tide. See the statues, the vases, the coins, their forms a bridge to the ancient world, their beauty a testament to the god's power. Feel the tide's gentle pull, its rise and fall, a melody that soothes the heart. Poseidon, lord of the sea, shaker of the earth, tamer of horses, lives on in the world's heartbeat, his legacy a song that never fades. As we drift toward the next chapter, where new facets of Poseidon's myth unfold, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its waves a soft embrace that leads you into slumber. Picture yourself on that quiet shore, the air warm, the stars bright, the tide whispering of a god whose power is as eternal as the ocean itself. Let this tale of legacy carry you, like a ship gliding toward a distant harbor, its sails filled with the breath of the divine. Chapter 11. The Maker of Islands. Poseidon's gift to the sea. In the ancient world, the sea was more than a pathway. It was a canvas for Poseidon's power, a place where his will could reshape the world. Imagine the ocean at twilight, its waters dark and mysterious, a faint glow rising from the depths. Poseidon, standing in his coral palace, his trident gleaming, gazes out at the endless waves, his heart stirred by the desire to create. With a single strike of his trident, he commands the seafloor to rise, and an island is born, its rocky peaks breaking the surface, its shores kissed by foam. Picture this new land, its cliffs sharp against the sky, its soil warmed by the first rays of the sun, a gift from the sea god to the world above. The waves seem to sing in celebration, their rhythm a hymn to Poseidon's power, their foam a crown for the newborn island. 1. Such tale tells of Delos, a sacred island in the Aegean, beloved by the gods. Picture the sea before its birth, a vast expanse with no mark to break the waves. In ancient times, Delos was said to drift, unmoored, a wandering piece of earth carried by the currents. Imagine Leto, a goddess pursued by Hera's wrath, seeking a place to give birth to her divine twins, Apollo and Artemis. No land would welcome her, fearing Hera's anger, until Poseidon, moved by compassion, raised his trident. Picture the sea trembling, the waters parting, as Delos rose, its foundations anchored by the god's will. The island stood firm, its shores green with promise, its air soft with the scent of wild herbs. Leto found refuge there, and the twins were born under a palm tree, their cries mingling with the waves. Imagine Delos now, its ruins gleaming under the sun, a temple to Apollo standing where Poseidon's gift took root, a testament to the sea god's power to create sanctuary from the deep. Another story speaks of the island of Oros, a volcanic jewel in the Dodecanese. Picture a battle from the dawn of time, the Titanomachy, when the giants, born of earth and sky, challenged the Olympian gods. Poseidon, his trident raised, fought fiercely, his strength a tide against their rebellion. Imagine the giant Polybos, his form towering, his roars shaking the earth. Poseidon, undaunted, pursued him across the sea, the waves churning in his wake. With a mighty heave, He tore a piece of the island of Kos and hurled it at the giant, pinning him beneath its weight. Picture the sea settling, the new island rising where polyboats fell, its volcanic heart a reminder of Poseidon's victory. Nisiros, with its steaming craters and rugged shores, stands as a monument to the sea god's power, its cliffs echoing the clash of divine forces. As you envision this island, its rocks warmed by the sun, let its story calm your mind, a tale of creation born from conflict. Poseidon's hand shaped other islands, each a story etched in stone and sea. Imagine the island of Rhodes, its shores kissed by gentle waves, its hills blooming with roses. In some tales, Poseidon raised it from the deep, a gift to the nymph Rhode, his daughter and beloved. Picture him standing in the sea, his tridents stirring the waters. As the island emerged, its soil rich, its harbors welcoming, the people of Rhodes honored Poseidon, their altars adorned with shells, their songs praising the god who gave them a home. Imagine a festival on its shores, the air alive with music, the waves sparkling as dancers weave through the sand, their garlands a tribute to the sea god's creation. The island, vibrant and alive, carries Poseidon's legacy, its beauty a reflection of his heart. Another tale tells of the Cyclades, a scattering of islands like pearls across the Aegean. Picture the sea before their birth, its surface unbroken, its depths silent. Poseidon, his gaze sweeping the horizon, struck his trident, and the islands rose. Each one unique: Mykonos, with its windswept hills, Santorini with its cliffs of fire, Naxos with its fertile valleys. Imagine the first sailors landing on these shores, their ships gliding through calm waters, their voices raised in thanks to the god who shaped their refuge. The Cyclades, their whitewashed villages gleaming under the sun, are a testament to Poseidon's power, their shores a canvas for his art. As you listen, let the image of these islands, their cliffs kissed by waves, soothe your soul, their beauty a lullaby for the heart. Not all of Poseidon's islands were born of kindness. Picture a city that defied him, its people neglecting his altars, their ships sailing without offerings. Poseidon, his heart stirred to wrath, raised his trident, and the seafloor trembled. A new island rising to block their harbor, its cliffs a barrier to their trade. Imagine the waves crashing against this new land, their roar a warning, the people humbled by the god's power. Yet even in his anger, there was creation, for the island became a home for others, its shores welcoming new stories, new lives. The sea god's legacy is one of balance, his trident both a tool of creation and a scepter of judgment. These islands, scattered across the sea, are more than land. They are stories, each one a chapter in Poseidon's myth. Picture a sailor standing on a cliff, his eyes scanning the horizon, the islands rising like sentinels in the distance. He offers a prayer to Poseidon, a shell cast into the waves, his heart full of awe for the god who shaped these havens. Imagine a farmer on Naxos, his hands in the soil, his fields watered by springs born of Poseidon's will, his voice raised in gratitude. The islands, with their temples, their harbors, their stories, are a legacy that endures, their beauty a reflection of the sea god's power. As you listen, let the images of these islands fill your mind. Picture Delos, its ruins glowing under the moon, the waves whispering of Apollo's birth. Imagine Nisiros, its volcanic heart steaming, a monument to Poseidon's victory. See Rhodes, its shores blooming, its people singing of the god who raised it. The Cyclades sparkle, their villages nestled against cliffs, their seas calm under Poseidon's watch. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their gentle rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Picture a temple by the sea, its columns worn by time, its altar adorned with shells, the air soft with the scent of salt and prayer. The islands, born of Poseidon's trident, are a gift to the world, their shores a canvas for his legacy. The act of creating islands was a testament to Poseidon's power, a reminder that the sea is not just a force of destruction, but a source of life. Imagine a fisherman's boat gliding past Santorini, its cliffs red and black against the blue sea, his nets cast in faith that Poseidon will fill them. Picture a poet on Mykonos, her words inspired by the wind and waves, her verses a tribute to the god who shaped her home. The islands, each one a story, carry Poseidon's name, their existence, a song that echoes through time. As you envision these scenes, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its tide a lullaby that calms the heart. Chapter 12. Rivalries of the Sea God, Poseidon and his divine foes. In the divine assembly of Olympus, Poseidon's presence was as commanding as the sea itself, yet his power often set him at odds with his fellow gods. Picture the great hall, its columns rising like the masts of ships, the air alive with the voices of deities debating the fate of the world. Poseidon, his trident gleaming in his hand, stood tall, his eyes like the depths of the ocean, his voice a rumble that echoed the waves. His siblings and kin, each with their own domains, were both allies and rivals, their relationships a dance of harmony and discord. The sea god's pride, as vast as his realm, led to clashes that shaped the myths of Greece. Stories that ripple through time like currents in the deep. One of Poseidon's most famous rivalries was with Athena, the goddess of wisdom, whose sharp mind and calm demeanor contrasted with his stormy nature. You heard of their contest for Athens? Where Poseidon's spring oar horse vied against Athena's olive tree for the city's patronage. Picture that moment again, the sunlit plain where the two gods stood, their gifts laid before the people. Of Cecrops, Poseidon, his trident raised, struck the earth, and Wateror, a noble steed burst forth, a symbol of his sea's might. Athena, serene and resolute, offered her tree, its silver-green leaves promising peace and prosperity. The people chose Athena, and Poseidon's heart stirred with anger, the sea rising in a flood to protest their choice. Imagine the waves sweeping over the plain, their foam white and fierce, yet receding under the calm of divine intervention. This rivalry, though softened by time, left a mark on Athens, where Poseidon's spring lingered beside Athena's tree, a reminder of their contest. Their powers intertwined like the sea and the land, but the rivalry with Athena was not merely about a city. Picture a moment on Olympus. The gods gathered, their voices sharp as they debated mortal affairs. Poseidon, his temper like a gathering storm, argued for the supremacy of the sea, while Athena, her eyes bright with wisdom, championed strategy and craft. Their clashes were not always open. Sometimes they were subtle, a contest of influence over heroes and cities. Imagine a Greek ship, its sails taut, guided by Poseidon's waves, but blessed by Athena's foresight. The two gods, though rivals, often worked in tandem, their powers balancing the fate of mortals. As you envision this, let the image of their divine tension, a storm meeting a calm sky, settle over you, a soothing balance that calms the mind. Another rivalry flared with Zeus, Poseidon's brother and king of the gods. Picture the throne room of Olympus, Zeus seated at its center, his thunderbolt glowing, his authority unchallenged. Poseidon, his equal in strength if not in rank, stood before him, his trident a scepter of the sea, his voice carrying the weight of the waves. In one tale, Poseidon joined Hera and Athena in a plot to overthrow Zeus, their hearts stirred by his rule. Imagine the gods conspiring in secret, their whispers like the wind before a storm, planning to bind Zeus and claim his throne. Poseidon, his ambition as vast as the ocean, lent his power to the scheme, the earth trembling faintly, as if in agreement. But the plot failed, thwarted by loyal gods, and Zeus's wrath was swift. Picture Poseidon, humbled, tasked with building the walls of Troy, his hands shaping stone, alongside Apollo, a punishment that turned to pride in the city's strength. Yet the rivalry lingered, a current beneath their brotherhood, their powers sea and sky forever in tension. The sea god's conflict with Apollo, the god of prophecy and music, was another thread in the tapestry of divine rivalries. Picture the plains of Troy before the war, where Poseidon and Apollo labored to build its mighty walls, their divine skill crafting a fortress to stand against time. The task was a punishment, but Poseidon's pride in the work was fierce, his hands shaping stone as if molding the sea itself. Imagine the walls rising, their stones fitted without mortar, a testament to the god's power. But when Laomedon, Troy's king, refused to pay them, Poseidon's wrath was like a tidal wave. Picture him raising his trident, the sea roaring, in response, sending a monster to plague Troy's shores. Apollo, loyal to his own honor, stood apart, his heart torn between their shared labor and their differing paths. During the Trojan War, as you heard, Poseidon fought for the Greeks, his grudge against Troy burning, while Apollo defended the city. Their rivalry a clash of sea and sun, of trident and bow. Poseidon's rivalry with Hera, though less frequent, was no less intense. Picture a moment during the Trojan War, the gods divided, their voices echoing on Olympus. Hera, her heart set on Troy's destruction, allied with Poseidon, their shared goal binding them. But their alliance was uneasy, their tempers clashing like waves against a cliff. Imagine Hera, her eyes blazing, urging the Greeks to victory, while Poseidon, his trident raised, stirred the sea to aid them. Their rivalry flared in moments of disagreement, each seeking to guide the war's course, their wills like currents pulling in different directions. Yet their shared purpose held, a reminder that even rival gods could find common ground, their powers weaving together to shape the fate of mortals. These rivalries were not just conflicts, they were the heartbeat of Olympus, a dance of divine wills that shaped the world below. Picture a storm at sea, the waves rising, the sky flashing with lightning, as Poseidon and Zeus contend, their powers clashing in a spectacle of nature. Imagine a quiet shore, where Athena's olive tree grows, beside Poseidon's spring. Their rivalry softened by the passage of time. See Apollo's temple on Delos, anchored by Poseidon's hand, a symbol of their shared creation. Despite their strife, the sea gods' rivalries, fierce yet fleeting, were part of his legacy, a testament to his power and his place among the gods. As you listen, let the images of these divine conflicts fill your mind. Picture Poseidon on Olympus, his trident gleaming, his voice a rumble that echoes the sea. Imagine Athena, her owl perched nearby, her wisdom a counterpoint to his might. See Zeus, his thunderbolt raised, his authority a challenge to Poseidon's pride. And Apollo, his bow drawn, his light a contrast to the sea's depths. Feel the rhythm of the waves in the distance, their rise and fall a melody that soothes the soul. The rivalries of Poseidon were a storm that shaped the myths. Their clash is a song that echoes through time. Picture a coastal temple, its columns worn by the sea's breath, where priests chant hymns to Poseidon, their voices blending with the tide. The rivalries of the gods are distant now, their conflicts softened by the centuries, yet their stories linger, carved in stone, painted on vases, sung in hymns. Imagine standing by that temple, the air cool with the scent of salt and incense, the sea sparkling under the stars. Poseidon's legacy, forged in rivalry and power, is as eternal as the ocean, his presence felt in every wave, every tremor, every story told by firelight. Chapter 13. Poseidon and the Heroes, Divine Patronage. In the myths of ancient Greece, heroes were the bridge between the mortal and the divine, their lives shaped by the gods who chose them. Poseidon, lord of the sea, shaker of the earth, and tamer of horses, was a patron to many, his power a beacon for those who faced trials beyond mortal strength. Imagine a young warrior standing by the sea, his spear gleaming, his eyes fixed on the waves, seeking the gods' blessing for a journey to come. Poseidon, watching from his coral palace, his trident in hand, saw in these heroes the spark of greatness, their courage a reflection of the sea's untamed spirit. His favor was a gift, a tide that carried them through battles, voyages, and quests, their names etched into the stories that endure through time. One such hero was Theseus, the son of Poseidon and Athra, a mortal princess. Picture a quiet shore at dusk, the waves lapping gently, as Athra walked under the stars, her heart touched by the sea god's presence. From their union came Theseus, a youth destined for greatness. His strength drawn from the sea, his courage as boundless as the waves. Imagine him as a young man, standing on the cliffs of Troezen, his father's gift a sword, and sandals hidden beneath a great stone. Poseidon's power flowed through him, guiding his hand as he lifted the stone, claiming his birthright. Picture Theseus setting out for Athens, his steps steady. The sea's murmur a constant companion, as if Poseidon himself walked beside him. The god's patronage was a shield, protecting Theseus as he faced bandits and monsters on his journey to claim his place as a hero. Theseus's greatest trial came in Crete, where the Minotaur, a creature born of Poseidon's wrath, lurked in a labyrinth. Picture the dark corridors of Knossos, the air heavy with the scent of stone and fear, the Minotaur's roars echoing like a storm. Theseus, guided by Ariadne's thread, moved with the grace of the sea, his heart steady with his father's strength. Imagine him facing the beast, his sword flashing, his movements swift as a wave breaking on the shore. Poseidon's favor, though subtle, was a current beneath his actions, a divine spark that led him to victory. Picture Theseus emerging from the labyrinth, the sea waiting beyond, its waves sparkling as if in celebration of his triumph. The god's patronage, a tide of strength, carried Theseus to Athens, where he would rule as a king. His legacy tied to the sea. Another hero under Poseidon's wing was Bellerophon, tamer of the winged horse Pegasus, a creature born of the sea. God's union with Medusa. Picture a sunlit plain, where Pegasus galloped, his wings a blur, his mane like the foam of the waves. Bellerophon, bold and daring, sought to ride this divine steed, his heart set on glory. Imagine him standing by a spring, its waters a gift from Poseidon, praying for the god's aid. The sea god, moved by his courage, sent Athena to offer a golden bridle. But it was Poseidon's spirit that flowed through Pegasus, binding horse and hero. Picture Bellerophon soaring through the sky, Pegasus's wings beating like the rhythm of the tide, as they faced the Chimera, a monster of fire and fang. The sea god's favor was a wind beneath them, guiding their flight, ensuring their victory. As you envision this, let the image of Pegasus soaring, the sea below, calm your mind. A vision of freedom and divine support. Poseidon's patronage also touched Perseus, the slayer of Medusa. Though primarily guided by Athena and Hermes, Perseus was born of the sea's embrace, his mother Dano cast into the waves in a wooden chest. Picture the sea at night, its waves gentle, as Poseidon calmed the tides to carry Dano and her infant son to safety on the island of Syr. Imagine Perseus growing strong by the sea, his eyes reflecting the courage of his divine protector, his heart stirred by the god's presence. When he faced Medusa, whose severed head birthed Pegasus, Poseidon's legacy was woven into the quest. His power, a distant tide that guided Perseus home. Picture him standing on a rocky shore, his sword bloodied, the sea sparkling as if in approval. A testament to the sea god's silent support. Not all heroes received Poseidon's favor without cost. Picture Orion, the great hunter, whose prowess rivaled the gods. In some tales, he was a son of Poseidon, gifted with the ability to walk on water, his steps as sure as if the sea were solid ground. Imagine him striding across the waves, his bow in hand, the stars above mirroring the sea below. Poseidon's patronage gave him strength, but his pride led to his downfall, struck down by Artemis's arrow or a scorpion's sting. Picture the sea mourning him, its waves curling gently, as Poseidon's heart grieved for his son. The god's favor was a double-edged gift, a tide that could lift or drown, a reminder of the balance between divine support and mortal hubris. patronage extended to cities as well, their heroes tied to his name. Imagine Corinth, its harbors bustling, its people honoring Poseidon as their protector. Picture a young warrior, his spear raised, offering a horse to the sea god's temple, his heart set on a quest. The god's favor was a shield for such heroes, their victories a reflection of his power. In Trozen, where Theseus was born, altars to Poseidon stood by the sea, their stones worn by offerings, their air filled with prayers for heroic sons. Picture a mother by such an altar, her hands clutching a shell, praying for her child's strength. The waves answering with a gentle murmur. As you listen, let the images of these heroes fill your mind. Picture Theseus in the labyrinth, his sword, gleaming the sea's strength in his veins. Imagine Bellerophon on Pegasus, soaring above the waves, Poseidon's favor a wind beneath them. See Perseus by the sea, his quest complete, the tide a silent ally. Feel the rhythm of the waves in the distance, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Poseidon's patronage was a tide that lifted heroes to greatness, their stories, a song that echoes through time. Picture a coastal shrine, its altar adorned with shells, a hero kneeling in thanks, the air soft with the scent of salt and prayer. The heroes of Poseidon's favor are a testament to his power, their deeds a legacy that binds the sea to the land. Imagine a festival by the shore, the people gathered, their voices singing of Theseus, Bellerophon, and Perseus, their tales a tribute to the god who guided them. The waves answer, their murmur a lullaby that carries centuries of valor. As you envision this, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its tide a gentle pull toward dreams. As we drift toward the next chapter, where Poseidon's role in shaping mortal cities unfolds, let the images of his heroes linger, swords flashing, wings soaring, waves whispering. Picture yourself on that sunlit shore, the air warm, the sea sparkling, as the tide carries you closer to slumber. Chapter 14. Poseidon and the city's divine protector. In ancient Greece, where the sea was both a lifeline and a mystery, Poseidon was revered as the guardian of coastal cities, his power a shield against storms and a source of prosperity. Imagine a city like Corinth, its narrow isthmus, kissed by two seas, its harbors alive with ships from distant lands. Picture the people gathering at dawn, their feet treading the sandy shore, their hands carrying offerings of shells and wine, to an altar dedicated to Poseidon. The temple, its columns carved with dolphins and waves, stands as a beacon of faith, its air filled with the scent of incense and the murmur of prayers. The citizens, from merchants to sailors, honor the god who calms the waves and fills their nets, their voices rising in thanks for the wealth that flows through their ports. Poseidon's presence is felt in every ship that docks, every market stall laden with goods, every wave that breaks gently on the shore. Corinth was not just a city of trade, it was a sacred place under Poseidon's care. Picture the isthmus, its hills green with pine, where the Isthmian games were held in his honor, as you heard before. Imagine the temple of Poseidon at its heart, its altar piled with offerings of shells and small carvings of horses, each a tribute to the god who protected the city. The people believed Poseidon's trident guided their ships, his earthquakes spared their walls, and his horses blessed their races. Picture a young sailor, his hands rough with rope, kneeling before the altar, offering a polished stone from a distant shore, his prayer for a safe voyage, soft as the morning breeze. The sea, sparkling beyond, seems to answer, its waves a gentle nod from the god who watches over Corinth. Another city under Poseidon's protection was Trozen, a coastal land tied to the hero Theseus, born of the sea god's love. Picture Trozen's shores, where the waves curl against rocky cliffs, and a temple to Poseidon stands, its stones worn smooth by years of devotion. Imagine the people gathering at dusk, their torches flickering, their voices chanting hymns to the god who gave them their hero. Theseus, as you heard, carried Poseidon's strength, and the city honored the god as their protector. their altars adorned with shells and seaweed. Picture a mother by the temple, her hands clutching a garland, praying for her son's safety as he sets sail. The seas murmur a promise of Poseidon's care. The city's prosperity, its fields watered by springs born of the god's trident, was a testament to his guardianship, a bond between the divine and the mortal. The city of Poseidonia, named for Poseidon himself, was another jewel in his crown. Picture its shores along the Italian coast, its temples gleaming under the Mediterranean sun, its harbors filled with ships. The people of Poseidonia, settlers from Greece, built grand temples to honor their sea god, their columns carved with scenes of waves and horses. Imagine a festival in the city, the air alive with music, the streets lined with dancers carrying garlands of wildflowers. The priests lead a procession to the sea, their robes flowing, as they offer a white bull to Poseidon, its horns adorned with shells. Picture the bull standing by the water's edge, the waves curling around it, as if the god himself accepts the gift. The city thrived under Poseidon's protection, its markets bustling, its ships sailing with the god's favor, its people bound to the sea that shaped their lives. Even Athens, though claimed by Athena, felt Poseidon's protective gaze. Picture the Acropolis, its temples rising against the sky, but nearby, a spring born of Poseidon's trident flows, a reminder of his presence. Imagine the Athenians, their city a beacon of wisdom, still honoring the sea god with offerings at the Erechtheion, a temple where his mark endured. Picture a sailor standing by this spring, his hands wet with its water, offering a prayer for safe passage to distant ports. Poseidon's protection extended to Athens' ships, their sails catching the wind, their prows cutting through waves calmed by the god's will. The sea, ever present, was a lifeline for the city, its harbors a testament to Poseidon's care. Even in a land claimed by his rival, Poseidon's guardianship was not without its trials. Picture a city that forgot his altars, its people sailing without offerings, their faith turned to other gods. Imagine Poseidon, his heart stirred to anger, raising his trident, the sea rising in a storm that battered their shores. The waves, fierce and white, crashed against the walls, a reminder of the god's power. Yet, when the people returned to his worship, their altars renewed with shells and wine, Poseidon's wrath softened, the sea calming, the storms passing. Picture a priest by the shore, his voice steady, leading a hymn to the sea god, the waves answering with a gentle murmur. The city, humbled, thrived once more, its harbors safe under Poseidon's watch. The protection of Poseidon was a bond felt in every coastal city, from the bustling ports of Piraeus to the quiet shores of Calaria. Imagine Calaria, an island, sacred to Poseidon, its sanctuary, a place of peace where even enemies could meet under his protection. Picture a temple there, its altars surrounded by olive trees, the sea sparkling beyond. Diplomats, their voices soft, gather under the god's gaze, their disputes calmed by his presence. The sanctuary, a gift of Poseidon's peace, was a testament to his role as protector, not just of cities, but of harmony itself. Imagine standing there, the air cool, the waves whispering, as the temple's stones glow under the moon. A beacon of the sea, God's care. As you listen, let the images of these cities fill your mind. Picture Corinth, its harbors alive, its temple gleaming with offerings to Poseidon. Imagine Trozen, its cliffs kissed by waves, its people honoring the god who gave them Theseus. See Poseidonia, its festivals vibrant, its altars piled with gifts for the sea god. Even Athens, with its spring of Poseidon, feels his protection, its ships sailing under his favor. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Picture a sailor by a harbor, his hands clutching a shell, his prayer for safety, soft as the breeze. The cities, their walls strong, their harbors safe, are a testament to Poseidon's guardianship, their stories a song that echoes through time. The legacy of Poseidon as protector lives in the stones of ancient temples, the waves that lap at ancient shores, the stories told by firelight. Imagine a coastal village today, its people still honoring the sea with offerings, their tales echoing the myths of old. Picture a fisherman casting his net, his voice raised in thanks to the sea, its bounty, a gift from Poseidon. The cities he guarded, from Corinth to Poseidonia, carry his name, their harbors a canvas for his power. As you envision these scenes, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its tide a lullaby that calms the heart. Poseidon, the divine protector, watches over the world, his trident, a shield for those who honor him. Chapter 15. Poseidon and Mortal Destinies, Shaping Fate. In the world of ancient Greece, where the gods walked close to mortals, Poseidon's influence was a tide that could lift or drown, a force that shaped the paths of kings, heroes, and common folk. Imagine a fisherman standing by his boat, his hands rough with rope, his eyes scanning the waves for a sign of the god's favor. His life, tied to the sea, was bound to Poseidon, whose moods could bring bounty or storm. Picture a king in a coastal palace, his crown gleaming, offering a bull to the sea god's altar, praying for his city's fate to be one of prosperity. Poseidon, from his coral throne beneath the waves, watched these mortals, his heart stirred by their prayers, his trident ready to guide or challenge their destinies. One such tale is that of Minos, king of Crete, whose fate was shaped by Poseidon's. We'll picture the island of Crete, its hills lush with vineyards, its palace at Naxos gleaming under the sun. Minos, proud and ambitious, sought to prove his divine favor to rule. He prayed to Poseidon, asking for a sign, and the sea god answered, sending a magnificent white bull from the waves. Imagine the beast emerging, its coat gleaming like sea foam, its horns curved like the crescent moon, a gift from the deep. Minos was to sacrifice it to honor Poseidon, but his heart, swayed by greed, kept the bull for himself, offering a lesser one instead. Picture Poseidon in his palace, his eyes darkening like a gathering storm, his trident raised in anger. To punish Minos, he wove a strange fate, stirring the heart of Minos's wife, Persephone, to love the bull. From this union came the Minotaur, a creature half man half bull, its roars echoing through a labyrinth. Imagine Minos, his pride humbled, his destiny forever marked by Poseidon's wrath. The labyrinth, a reminder of the sea god's power to shape mortal lives. Another mortal whose fate was touched by Poseidon was Pelops, a hero whose name echoes in the land of the Peloponnese. Picture a young man, exiled and seeking glory, standing by a river that flows to the sea. Pelops, needing to win a chariot race to claim a bride and a kingdom, prayed to Poseidon, his divine patron from a past bond. Imagine the god appearing in a shimmer of sea mist, his trident gleaming, his voice like the murmur of waves. Poseidon gifted him a chariot drawn by winged horses, their manes flowing like foam, their hooves swift as the tide. Picture racing across the plain, the wind in his hair. The horses galloping with divine speed, their victory secured by the sea god's favor. Pelops won his bride, Hippodamia, and his kingdom, naming the land after himself. Imagine him standing by the sea, offering a golden cup to Poseidon, the waves sparkling as if in approval, his destiny shaped by the god's gift. Poseidon's influence also touched the fate of Andromeda, a princess bound to a rock by the sea. Picture the Ethiopian coast, its cliffs battered by waves, where Andromeda was chained as a sacrifice to appease a sea monster sent by Poseidon. The monster, a creature of scales and fury, was the god's response to Queen Cassiopeia's boast that her beauty rivaled the Nereids. Imagine the sea churning, the monster's roars echoing, as Andromeda stood defiant, her heart steady despite her fate. Poseidon, watching from the deep, allowed her rescue by Perseus, the hero who slew the beast with Medusa's head. Picture Perseus soaring on winged sandals, his sword flashing, the waves calming as Poseidon's wrath softened, and destiny, once bound to sacrifice, was freed by the sea god's mercy. Her life a testament to his power to both curse and save. Even common mortals felt Poseidon's hand on their fates. Imagine a sailor lost in a storm, his ship tossed by waves, his crew clinging to the mast. Picture him praying to Poseidon, casting a shell into the sea, his voice trembling with hope. The god, his heart moved, calmed the storm, the waves settling into a gentle sway, guiding the ship to a safe harbor. Imagine a farmer by a dry plain, his crops wilting, his prayers rising to the sea god for water. Picture Poseidon striking the earth, a spring bubbling forth, its waters a lifeline for the village. The farmer, his hands wet with gratitude, offers a garland to the god, his fate transformed by the sea's gift. These small lives, though not sung in epic tales, were threads in Poseidon's tapestry, their destinies shaped by his will. Poseidon's influence was not always gentle. Picture a city that defied him, its people neglecting his altars, their ships sailing without offerings. Imagine Poseidon, his trident raised, stirring the sea into a tempest, the waves crashing against their walls, their fate sealed by his wrath. Yet, when they returned to his worship, their altars piled with shells and fish. The god's anger softened, the storms passing, their destiny restored. Picture a priest by the shore, his robes flowing, chanting hymns to the sea god, the waves answering with a gentle murmur. Poseidon's power to shape fate was a balance of judgment and mercy, a tide that could lift or drown. As you listen, let the images of these destinies fill your mind. Picture Minos in his palace, the Minotaur's roars a reminder of Poseidon's wrath. Imagine Pelops racing, his chariot swift with the god's horses, his victory a gift of divine favor. See Andromeda on the rock, the sea calming as Perseus saves her, Poseidon's mercy a turning point in her fate. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Picture a sailor by his ship, his hands clutching a shell, his prayer answered by the sea's calm. The destinies shaped by Poseidon, from kings to common folk, are a testament to his power. Their stories a song that echoes through time, the sea god's influence on mortal lives is a legacy woven into the fabric of the world. Imagine a coastal village, its people gathered by a spring, their voices raised in thanks to Poseidon. Picture a hero standing by the sea, his sword gleaming, his heart strengthened by the god's favor. The waves, the springs, the horses all carry Poseidon's touch, their rhythm a reminder of his power to shape fate. As you envision these scenes, let the sea's murmur guide you, its tide a lullaby that calms the heart. Poseidon, the shaper of destinies, watches over the world, his trident a force that guides the lives of those who honor him. Chapter 16, Poseidon and the monsters, creatures of the deep, in the myths of ancient Greece. The sea was a place of wonder and danger, a realm where Poseidon's power gave life to beings that defied mortal understanding. These monsters, born of his unions or sent as instruments of his wrath, were as varied as the sea itself, some beautiful, some terrifying, all carrying the mark of the god who shaped them. Imagine Poseidon in his coral palace, his trident gleaming, his eyes like the abyss, gazing into the depths where his creations stir. The sea, vast and untamed, was his canvas, and the creatures that rose from it were a testament to his might. Their forms a blend of the divine and the wild. Picture the waves parting, a shadow moving beneath, as one of these beings breaks the surface. Its presence a whisper of Poseidon's power. One such creature was the Minotaur, born of Poseidon's wrath against King Minos of Crete. Picture the island of Crete, its hills green with vineyards, its palace, Atlantis, gleaming under the sun. Minos, as you heard, defied Poseidon by refusing to sacrifice a magnificent bull sent from the sea, a gift meant to honor the god. Imagine Poseidon, his heart stirred to anger, raising his trident, the waves roaring in sympathy. To punish Minos, He wove a strange spell, causing Queen Pasiphae to fall in love with the bull. From their union came the Minotaur, a creature half man, half bull, its eyes burning with fury, its roars echoing through the labyrinth where it was confined. Picture the dark corridors of Nasus, the air heavy with the scent of stone and fear. The Minotaur pacing, a living symbol of Poseidon's power to curse. Yet, even in its terror, the Minotaur was part of the sea god's legacy. Its existence a thread in the tapestry of myth, defeated by Theseus, Poseidon's own son. In a twist of divine fate, another monster tied to Poseidon was Charybdis, a creature of the sea whose hunger shaped the fates of sailors. Picture a narrow strait, its waters swirling, the cliffs rising sharp on either side. Charybdis, in some tales, a daughter of Poseidon and Gaia, was a whirlpool of unimaginable power, her maw swallowing the sea itself 3 times a day. Imagine her vortex spinning, the waves roaring as they spiral into her depths, ships caught in her grasp, vanishing into the abyss. Sailors, their faces pale with fear, prayed to Poseidon for safe passage, their offerings of shells and wine cast into the waves. Picture Odysseus, the cunning hero, navigating this strait, his ship teetering on the edge of Charybdis's pull, his heart steady with the knowledge of Poseidon's wrath. The sea god's power was in her creation, her whirlpool a reflection of his ability to both give and take, a force that shaped the destinies of those who dared the sea. Across from Charybdis lurked Scylla, another monster tied to Poseidon's realm, though her origins are less clear. Picture a cliff rising from the sea, its rocks jagged, where Scylla dwelt, her form a nightmare of many heads, each snapping with sharp teeth. In some tales, she was a nymph transformed by a rival's jealousy, her beauty twisted into terror. Imagine her heads lunging from the cliff, seizing sailors from passing ships, the sea below churning with Poseidon's currents. Though not directly born of him, Scylla was a creature of his domain, her presence a challenge to those who sailed under his watch. Picture Odysseus again, his ship caught between Scylla's jaws and Charybdis's whirlpool, his choices guided by the sea god's shadow. The monsters, though fearsome, were part of Poseidon's world, their terror a balance to his benevolence. Poseidon also sent monsters as instruments of his will, their forms a manifestation of his divine anger. Picture the shores of Troy, where King Laomedon betrayed Poseidon and Apollo, refusing payment for the walls they built. Imagine Poseidon, his trident raised, the sea roaring in fury as he sent a sea monster to plague the city. Picture the creature, rising from the waves, its scales gleaming, its eyes like storm clouds, its jaws snapping as it ravaged the coast. The Trojans, their hearts heavy, offered sacrifices to appease the god, their princess Hesione bound to a rock as an offering. Imagine the hero Heracles, his bow drawn, slaying the monster, the sea calming as Poseidon's wrath softened. The creature, born of the god's anger, was a reminder of his power to punish. Its defeat, a testament to his mercy when mortals honored him. Another monster was the Cetus of Ethiopia, sent to punish Queen Cassiopeia's boast that her beauty surpassed the Nereids. Picture the African coast, its cliffs battered by waves, where the monster rose, its body vast, its scales glinting like wet stone. Poseidon, stirred by the Nereids' pleas, unleashed this beast, its roars echoing across the sea. Imagine Princess Andromeda chained to a rock, her courage unshaken, as Perseus, guided by other gods, slew the creature, the waves parting to reveal her salvation. Poseidon's monster, a tool of divine justice, shaped Andromeda's fate. Its defeat, a moment of balance in the sea god's realm. Picture the sea settling, its surface sparkling. As Poseidon's gaze softened, his power both fierce and forgiving. These creatures, born or sent by Poseidon, were more than terrors. They were part of his legacy, their stories woven into the myths of heroes and cities. Imagine a sailor by a campfire, his voice low, recounting tales of Charybdis's whirlpool or the Minotaur's labyrinth. The seas murmur a backdrop to his words. Picture a child in a coastal village, her eyes wide, listening to stories of sea monsters, her heart stirred by the god who created them. The monsters, though fearsome, were a reflection of Poseidon's power, their existence a balance of creation and destruction, a tide that shaped the world. As you listen, let the images of these creatures fill your mind. Picture the Minotaur pacing its labyrinth, its roars a distant echo of Poseidon's wrath. Imagine Charybdis's vortex spinning, the sea roaring, a force of divine hunger. See Scylla's head snapping, the cliffs her home, the waves below carrying Poseidon's will. Picture the sea monster of Troy, its scales gleaming, defeated by a hero's courage. And the Cetus of Ethiopia, its fall a moment of divine mercy. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. These creatures, born of the sea god's power, are a testament to his might. Their stories a song that echoes through time. The legacy of Poseidon's monsters lives in the tales told by the sea. Their forms a shadow in the deep. Imagine a coastal shrine, its altar adorned with shells, where a sailor offers a prayer to Poseidon, the waves answering with a gentle murmur. Picture a poet by the shore, her words inspired by the sea's mysteries, her verses a tribute to the god who shaped its terrors. The monsters, from the Minotaur to Charybdis, are a thread in Poseidon's tapestry, their existence a reminder of his power to create and destroy. As you envision these scenes, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its tide a lullaby that calms the heart. Chapter 17. Poseidon and the Sea, Master of the Deep. The sea, in ancient Greece, was more than a body of water. It was Poseidon's kingdom, a vast and untamed realm, where his power reigned supreme. Imagine standing on a rocky cliff, the waves crashing below, their foam white against the dark stone. Poseidon, from his coral palace beneath the deep, holds sway over every ripple, every storm, every current that carries a ship to its destiny. Picture him in his throne room, his trident gleaming, its prongs catching the light of glowing shells, his eyes like the abyss, deep and unreadable. With a single gesture, he can summon a tempest, the waves rising like mountains, their crests crowned with fury, or calm the sea into a glassy mirror, reflecting the stars above. The sailors of Greece, their hands rough with rope, knew this power. Their prayers to Poseidon, a constant song, their offerings of shells and wine, cast into the waves. Imagine a merchant ship setting sail from Piraeus, its sails taut, its prow cutting through the water. The captain, his face weathered by sun and salt, stands at the helm, his voice soft as he prays to Poseidon for a safe voyage. Picture the sea responding, its waves gentle, its currents swift, as if the god himself guides the ship. Poseidon's mastery is in every breeze that fills the sails, every wave that cradles the hull, every storm that spares the crew. The sea is alive with his presence, its rhythm a reflection of his mood, wild and fierce in anger, calm and nurturing in mercy. As you envision this ship gliding across the water, let the gentle sway of the waves soothe you, their motion a lullaby that carries you closer to dreams. Poseidon's power over the sea was not just in its surface, but in its depths, where wonders and mysteries dwell. Picture his palace, hidden beneath the Aegean, its halls built of coral and pearl, its walls glowing with the colors of the deep emerald, sapphire, and turquoise. Imagine schools of fish weaving through the chambers, their scales flashing like stars and nereids, the sea nymphs dancing with the grace of currents. Poseidon sits on a throne carved from a giant pearl, his trident at his side, surrounded by dolphins and hippocamps, their fish-like tails shimmering. The air hums with the music of the sea, a melody that calms the wildest storms and lulls the heart to rest. Picture yourself standing at the edge of this palace, the water weightless around you, the light soft and inviting, as the sea god's presence fills the space, a testament to his mastery over the deep. The sea's creatures, too, are under Poseidon's command. Imagine dolphins leaping in playful arcs, their bodies cutting through the waves, their chatter, a song of the sea god's favor. In ancient tales, dolphins were his messengers, guiding lost ships to safety, their presence a sign of his protection. Picture a sailor, adrift in a storm, his heart heavy with fear, until a dolphin breaks the surface, its eyes bright with divine guidance. The waves calm, the ship finds its way, and the sailor offers a shell to the sea, his voice trembling with gratitude. Other creatures, like the hippocampus half-horse, half-fish, carry Poseidon's chariot across the waves, their scales glinting like pearls, their hooves skimming the water as if it were a meadow. Imagine this chariot racing through the sea, the waves parting in its wake. A vision of the god's absolute dominion. Poseidon's mastery also shaped the myths of mortal voyages. Picture the Argonauts, led by Jason, sailing in search of the Golden Fleece. Their ship, the Argo, glided through the sea, its timbers blessed by Poseidon's favor. Imagine the crew, their oars dipping in rhythm, their prayers rising to the sea god as they faced perilous waters. Poseidon, watching from the deep, calmed the storms, his trident guiding their path through treacherous straits. Picture the sea, sparkling under the sun, the Argo's sails catching the wind, as the god's power ensured their journey's success. The Argonauts, their hearts bold, honored Poseidon with offerings, their voices blending with the waves, a testament to his role as master of the sea. Yet Poseidon's sea could also be a place of trial. Imagine a ship caught in a tempest, its sails torn, its crew clinging to the mast as waves tower above. Poseidon, his heart stirred to anger, perhaps by a mortal's hubris, unleashes the storm, the sea roaring like a living beast. Picture the captain, his hands gripping the helm, praying for mercy, his offering of wine cast into the waves. The god, his wrath softening, calms the sea, the storm fading into a gentle breeze, the ship finding a safe harbor. The sea's dual nature, nurturing and destructive, reflects Poseidon's mastery, his power to give life or take it, a tide that shapes the fates of those who sail. The myths also tell of Poseidon's role in creating the sea's features. Picture a rocky coast, where the waves crash against cliffs, their spray rising like a veil. In some tales, Poseidon carved these shores with his trident, shaping harbors for cities like Corinth and Piraeus. Imagine him standing in the sea, his trident striking the rock, the earth yielding to form a bay where ships could rest. Picture a fisherman by this harbor, his nets cast, his voice raised in thanks to the god who shaped his home. The sea's currents, too, were Poseidon's work, their paths guiding ships or leading them astray, each one a thread in the god's design. As you envision these shores, let the rhythm of the waves calm you, their flow a melody that soothes the soul. Poseidon's mastery extended to the sea's mysteries, its hidden realms where mortals rarely ventured. Picture the underwater caves, their entrances dark, their walls encrusted with coral. In ancient tales, these were sanctuaries of the sea god, places where his power was strongest. Imagine a diver, bold and curious, swimming into such a cave. The water cool, the light dim, finding a shrine to Poseidon, its altar adorned with shells. The diver, his heart awed, offers a pearl to the god, the sea's silence a testament to Poseidon's presence. These hidden places, known only to the sea's creatures and the god who rules them, were part of his mastery, a realm where his will was absolute. As you listen, let the images of Poseidon's sea fill your mind. Picture the waves rolling gently, their foam sparkling under the moon, a reflection of the god's calm. Imagine his chariot racing through the deep, hippocamps galloping, dolphins leaping in joy. See the Argonauts sailing, their ship guided by Poseidon's hand, and the sailor saved from a storm, his prayer answered by the sea's mercy. Feel the rhythm of the tide, its rise and fall a lullaby that soothes the heart. Picture a coastal shrine, its stones worn by waves, where a sailor offers a shell, the sea answering with a gentle murmur. Poseidon's mastery, a power as vast as the ocean, is a legacy that endures in every wave, every current, every story told by the sea. The sea, under Poseidon's command, is a world of wonder and power, a realm that cradles and challenges. Imagine a poet by the shore, her words inspired by the waves, her verses a tribute to the god who shapes them. Picture a child running along the beach, her laughter mingling with the sea's song, unaware that Poseidon's will guides the tide. The sea's rhythm, eternal and unchanging, carries his legacy, its stories a thread in the tapestry of myth. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the soul. Poseidon, master of the deep, watches over his realm, his trident a scepter that shapes the world. Chapter 18. Poseidon in Divine Council's Voice of the Sea. In the myths of ancient Greece, the gods gathered on Olympus to decide the fates of mortals and the balance of the cosmos. Their voices a symphony of power and passion. Imagine the great hall, its ceiling lost in clouds, its floor a mosaic of stars, where the Olympians sit in council, their presence filling the air with divine energy. Zeus, king of the gods, presides, his thunderbolt glowing, his authority a storm that commands respect. Yet Poseidon, his brother, stands as an equal in might, his trident gleaming, his eyes like the depths of the sea, his voice a rumble that carries the weight of the waves. Picture him stepping forward, his robes flowing like currents, his presence as vast as the ocean, as he speaks for the sea and its people, his words shaping the divine decrees that ripple through the mortal world. Poseidon's role in these councils was not merely that of a participant. He was a force, his will as unyielding as the tides. Imagine a debate over a mortal city, its people caught in the throes of war or famine. Picture Zeus, his gaze stern, proposing a path, while Athena, her wisdom sharp, offers counsel. Poseidon, his trident planted firmly, speaks of the sea's role, urging protection for coastal cities, or vengeance against those who defy his waves. His voice, deep and resonant, carries the rhythm of the ocean, compelling the gods to listen. Imagine the air trembling faintly, as if the earth itself echoes his words, a reminder of his power as the earth-shaker. The other gods, Hera, Apollo, Artemis lean forward, their eyes fixed on Poseidon, knowing his will could stir the seas or calm them, shaping the fates discussed in their celestial hall. One tale of Poseidon's influence in council comes from the Trojan War, a conflict that divided the gods, as you heard before. Picture the Olympian hall, the air heavy with tension, as the gods debate the fate of Troy. Poseidon, his heart still burning from King Laomedon's betrayal, stands tall, his trident raised, arguing for the Greeks' victory. Imagine his voice, like the roar of waves, recounting the labor he and Apollo poured into Troy's walls, only to be denied their due. Hera, her eyes blazing with hatred for Troy, aligns with him, her words, sharp as she calls for the city's fall. Athena, too, joins their cause, her wisdom weaving strategies that Poseidon's power will enforce. Picture Apollo and Aphrodite, defenders of Troy, their voices rising in opposition, their arguments a countercurrent to Poseidon's tide. The sea god's influence sways the council, his will a force that tips the balance, ensuring the Greeks triumph through storms and tremors sent by his hand. Another moment of Poseidon's voice in council came during the rebellion against Zeus, a bold act that shook the heavens. Picture the gods gathered in secret, their whispers like the wind before a storm, plotting to overthrow the king of Olympus. Poseidon, his ambition as vast as the sea, joined Hera and Athena, their hearts united by a desire to challenge Zeus's rule. Imagine the hall, its light dim, as Poseidon speaks, his trident gleaming, his words urging a new order where the sea's power might rise. Picture the tension, the air crackling, as Zeus's loyal allies uncover the plot, their voices silencing. The rebellion? Poseidon, humbled, accepts his punishment building Troy's walls, but his presence in the council remains, his voice a tide that cannot be ignored. As you envision this scene, let the image of divine discord, softened by the rhythm of the sea, calm your mind, a balance of power and peace. Poseidon's influence also shaped the fates of mortal heroes, discussed in council. Imagine a debate over Odysseus, the cunning hero who blinded Poseidon's son, Polyphemus. Picture the sea god standing, his tridents striking the floor, the hall trembling as he demands vengeance, his voice like a storm over the sea. Athena, Odysseus's protector, counters with calm reason, her words a shield for her hero. Zeus, mediating, listens as Poseidon's anger clashes with Athena's wisdom. The council, a battleground of divine wills. Imagine the compromise, the sea god's wrath tempered but not erased. His storms sent to test Odysseus, yet allowing his eventual return to Ithaca. The council's debates, filled with Poseidon's voice, shaped the hero's decade-long journey, a testament to the sea god's power to influence even the heavens. The sea god's role in council was not always contentious. Picture a quieter moment. The gods gathered to discuss a city's plea for water. Imagine Poseidon, his tone softer, speaking of a spring he could raise, his trident ready to gift life to a parched land. The other gods nod, their voices blending, in agreement, as Poseidon's power becomes a blessing, not a storm. Picture a coastal city, its people gathered by a new spring, their hands cupping the water, their prayers rising to the sea god, who answered their call. The council, a place of harmony as well as strife, was shaped by Poseidon's presence. His mastery of the sea, a force that balanced the divine assembly. As you listen, let the images of these councils fill your mind. Picture Poseidon on Olympus, his trident gleaming, his voice a rumble that echoes the sea. Imagine Zeus, his thunderbolt raised, Hera's fiery gaze, Athena's calm wisdom, all meeting Poseidon's tide-like will. See the hall, its columns glowing, the air alive with divine energy, as the gods debate the fates of mortals. Feel the rhythm of the waves below, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Poseidon's voice in council, a force as powerful as the sea, shaped the myths that endure. His influence a song that echoes through time. The councils of Olympus, with Poseidon at their heart, were a tapestry of divine will, their debates a balance of storm and calm. Picture a temple by the sea, its altar adorned with shells, where mortals offer prayers to the god who speaks for them in the heavens. Imagine a sailor by his ship, his hands clutching a shell, his voice raised in thanks for the sea's mercy. Shaped by Poseidon's counsel, the sea god's presence, even among the gods, was a tide that lifted or challenged, a legacy that lives in every story told by firelight. As you envision these scenes, let the sea's rhythm guide you, its tide, a lullaby that calms the heart. Chapter 19, Poseidon and the Nereids, guardians of the sea. In the myths of ancient Greece, the Nereids were the 50 daughters of Nereus, the old man of the sea, and Doris, a sea goddess whose lineage tied them to the ocean's heart. Imagine a coral reef, its branches vibrant with color, where the Nereids dance, their forms shimmering like sunlight on water, their hair flowing like currents. Poseidon, lord of the sea, claimed these nymphs as his companions. Their grace a reflection of his realm, their voices a song that calmed the wildest storms. Picture his palace beneath the Aegean, its walls of pearl and coral glowing with the hues of the deep emerald sapphire and turquoise. The Nereids weave through its halls, their laughter a melody that blends with the sea's rhythm, their presence a testament to Poseidon's dominion. Among the Nereids, Amphitrite stands as queen, her love for Poseidon a bond that anchors the sea. Picture her first, a nymph of unmatched beauty, dancing among her sisters on a sunlit wave. Poseidon, struck by her grace, pursued her, his golden chariot racing through the sea, drawn by hippocamps with shimmering tails. Imagine Amphitrite, shy at first, fleeing to the farthest reaches of the ocean, her form a flicker in the deep. Yet Poseidon's persistence, softened by devotion, won her heart, and she became his consort, ruling beside him in their underwater palace. Picture them together, Poseidon on his throne, his trident gleaming, Amphitrite at his side, her eyes like the sea's depths, her presence calming his tempestuous heart. Their union was a harmony, the sea's tides moving with their love, a melody that soothed the world above. The Nereids, under Poseidon's command, were guardians of the sea, their roles as varied as the waves. Imagine Thetis, a Nereid of great renown, her beauty rivaling the dawn, her heart tied to both gods and mortals. Picture her by a rocky shore, her robes flowing like foam, guiding a lost ship to safety, her voice a whisper that calms the storm. Thetis, mother of Achilles, was a bridge between the divine and human, her actions shaped by Poseidon's will. Imagine her in the Trojan War, her prayers to Zeus echoing Poseidon's favor for the Greeks, the sea's currents aiding their ships. As you envision Thetis, her form gliding through the waves, let her grace soothe you, her presence a gentle pull toward dreams. Another Nereid, Galatea, wove her own tale of love and devotion. Picture a Sicilian shore, where the waves lap gently, and Galatea, her skin like pearl, caught the eye of the Cyclops Polyphemus, Poseidon's son. Imagine her dancing on the sea, her laughter a song that stirred the giant's heart. Though her love belonged to the mortal Acis, Poseidon, watching from his palace, allowed their story to unfold, the sea's tides carrying their love and tragedy. Picture the moment when Polyphemus, in jealousy, crushed Acis with a boulder, and Galatea, with Poseidon's blessing, transformed her lover into a river, its waters flowing to the sea. Imagine that river, its surface sparkling, a testament to the Nereids' power under Poseidon's guidance, their ability to shape fate with grace and sorrow. The Nereids also served as protectors of sailors, their presence a beacon in the sea's vastness. Picture a ship caught in a storm, its sails torn, its crew clinging to the mast as waves tower above. Imagine a Nereid, perhaps Somaith or Chimapoly, arising from the deep, her form a shimmer of light, her hands calming the waves. The crew, their faces pale, offer prayers to Poseidon, their voices blending with the wind, and the Nereid, his emissary, guides them to a safe harbor. Picture the harbor at dusk, the sea sparkling, the ship at rest, as the sailors cast shells into the waves, their gratitude a song to the god and his nymphs. The Nereids, with their gentle power, were Poseidon's hands in the sea, their actions a reflection of his mercy. In some tales, the Nereids were agents of Poseidon's wrath. Picture a coastal city that forgot the sea god's altars, its people sailing without offerings. Imagine Poseidon, his trident raised, stirring the sea into a tempest, and the Nereids, their faces stern, guiding the storm to the city's shores. The waves crash, fierce and white, a reminder of the god's power. Yet, when the people return to worship, their altars piled with shells and fish, the Nereids soften the storm, their voices a lullaby that calms the sea. Picture a priest by the shore, his robes flowing, chanting hymns to Poseidon and his nymphs, the waves answering with a gentle murmur. The Nereids, as guardians, balanced justice and mercy, their actions a tide under Poseidon's command. The myths also tell of the Nereids' role in divine gatherings. Picture a festival on Mount Olympus, the gods feasting, the air filled with music and light. The Nereids, invited as Poseidon's entourage, shimmer like the sea, their robes flowing, their voices a chorus that echoes the waves. Imagine Poseidon, his trident gleaming, standing proud as his nymphs dance, their grace a reflection of his realm. The other god Zeus, Athena, Apollo watch, their hearts stirred by the beauty of the sea's guardians. Picture Amphitrite leading her sisters, her movements a dance of currents, her presence a testament to Poseidon's power. The Nereids, in these moments, were his ambassadors. Their beauty, a song of the sea's eternal charm. As you listen, let the images of the Nereids fill your mind. Picture Amphitrite, by Poseidon's side, her eyes like the deep, her grace calming the storm. Imagine Thetis guiding a ship, her form a flicker in the waves, her voice a whisper of safety. See Galatea by the Sicilian shore, her love a river flowing to the sea, and Samaith, calming a tempest, her hands gentle on the waves. Feel the rhythm of the tide, its rise and fall a melody that soothes the soul. The Nereids, guardians of the sea, are a testament to Poseidon's power. Their stories, a song that echoes through time. Picture a coastal shrine, its altar adorned with shells, where a sailor offers a pearl, the sea answering with a gentle murmur. The Nereids, under Poseidon's command, are a thread in his legacy, their grace a reflection of the sea's beauty. Imagine a fisherman by his boat, his hands casting a net, his prayer to the Nereids, soft as the breeze. Picture a poet by the shore, her verses inspired by the nymph's dance, her words a tribute to Poseidon's realm. The sea, with its guardians, is a world of wonder and power, its rhythm a lullaby that carries centuries of myth. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the heart. Poseidon and his Nereids, rulers of the deep, watch over the sea, their presence a song that never fades. Chapter 20. Poseidon's springs and rivers, gifts of the earth. In the myths of ancient Greece, Poseidon's power was not confined to the salty waves. It reached deep into the earth, where his trident could summon fresh water to sustain life. Imagine a dry plain, its soil cracked under a relentless sun, the people weary, their crops wilting in the heat. Picture a farmer, his hands rough with toil, kneeling by a simple altar, offering a handful of shells to Poseidon, his voice soft with a prayer for water. The sea god, from his coral palace beneath the waves, hears the plea, his heart stirred by mortal need. With a single strike of his trident, he pierces the earth, and a spring bursts forth. Its waters clear and cool, winding through the valley like a ribbon of life. Imagine the people gathering, their faces alight with joy, their hands cupping the water, their voices raised in thanks to the god who answered their call. One such tale is tied to the city of Argos, a land of fertile plains but plagued by drought. Picture the Argive fields, their grasses brown, the air heavy with dust. King Danaus, desperate to save his people, prayed to Poseidon, his offering a polished stone cast into a nearby stream. Imagine the god appearing in a shimmer of sea mist, his trident gleaming, his eyes like the depths of the ocean. With a strike to the ground, he brought forth the spring of Lerna, its waters abundant, its flow sustaining the city through generations. Picture the spring, its banks lined with reeds, its surface sparkling under the sun, a sacred gift from the sea god. The people of Argos built an altar nearby, its stones adorned with shells, their festivals honoring Poseidon with songs and offerings. The spring a testament to his power to give life to the earth. Another story tells of the spring of Ammon, named for a daughter of Danaus. Picture a young woman wandering a dry plain, her jug empty, her heart heavy with the search for water. Poseidon, struck by her grace, appeared before her, his presence as vast as the sea. Imagine him raising his trident, the earth trembling faintly, as a spring bubbled forth, its waters cool and pure. Ammon, her eyes wide with awe, offered thanks, and the spring bore her name, a gift that watered the fields of Argos. Picture the stream winding through the land, its banks blooming with flowers, the people gathering to drink, their voices soft with gratitude. Poseidon's love for Ammon, and the spring born of their encounter, was a thread in his legacy, a reminder of his power to shape both land and lives. In Trojan too, Poseidon's springs were sacred. Picture the coastal city, its cliffs kissed by waves, where a spring flowed near a temple to the sea god. Imagine the people gathering at dawn, their robes flowing, carrying garlands of seaweed, and shells to honor Poseidon. The spring, born of his trident, watered their fields and filled their jugs, its flow a lifeline for the city. Picture a mother by the spring, her child at her side, offering a small carving of a horse, a nod to Poseidon's role as tamer of horses. The water, sparkling in the sunlight, seemed to carry the god's blessing, its gentle murmur, a song of divine care. The people of Trozen, tied to their hero Theseus, Poseidon's son, revered the spring as a gift from their protector, its waters a symbol of his enduring presence. Poseidon's rivers, too, were part of his gift to the earth. Picture the river, Inachos, in Argos, its waters said to flow from the sea, God's will, its current, strong and steady. Imagine farmers along its banks, their fields green with the river's bounty, their altars piled with offerings to Poseidon. The river, winding through the plain, was a lifeline, its flow a testament to the god's power to nurture the land. In another tale, the river Alpheus, sacred to Poseidon, flowed from the Peloponnese to the sea, its waters said to pass beneath the waves to reach the island of Ortygia. Picture a lover, the nymph Arethusa, fleeing to Ortygia, her form transformed into a spring, the river Alpheus following her, its waters mingling with hers in a divine embrace. Imagine standing by that spring, the air cool, the sea nearby, as the river's flow whispers of Poseidon's power to connect land and sea. Not all of Poseidon's springs were born of kindness. Picture a city that neglected his worship, its people sailing without offerings, their altars empty. Imagine Poseidon, his heart stirred to anger, raising his trident, the earth trembling as a spring of salt water burst forth, flooding their fields. The people, humbled, returned to his worship, their altars renewed with shells and fish, and Poseidon, his wrath softened, calmed the waters, allowing fresh springs to flow once more. Picture a priest by the shore, his voice chanting hymns, the sea answering with a gentle murmur. Poseidon's springs, whether born of mercy or judgment, were a balance of his power, a tide that shaped the earth and its people. These springs and rivers were more than water. They were sacred, their banked places of worship, their flow a connection to the divine. Imagine a festival by a spring, the air alive with music, the people dancing, their garlands of wildflowers cast into the water. Picture a sailor by a river, his hands wet with its flow, offering a shell to Poseidon, his prayer for a safe voyage, soft as the breeze. The springs and rivers, born of the sea god's trident, were gifts that sustained cities, nourished fields, and carried stories of divine care. As you envision these scenes, let the gentle sound of flowing water soothe you, its rhythm a lullaby that calms the heart. Poseidon's legacy in springs and rivers lives in the myths told by firelight, the altars built by their banks, the prayers offered to the sea god. Picture a coastal village, its people gathered by a stream, their voices singing of Lerna, Amymone, and Apios. Imagine a poet by a river, her words inspired by its flow, her verses a tribute to Poseidon's gift. The springs and rivers, sparkling under the sun, are a thread in his tapestry, their waters a song that echoes through time. As you listen, let the image of a spring bubbling from the earth fill your mind, its flow a melody of divine generosity. Chapter 21. Poseidon and the Horses, creator of steeds, in the myths of ancient Greece. Poseidon was revered as the tamer of horses, a title that spoke to his power to create and command these noble creatures. Imagine a lonely shore, where the waves crash in a frenzy, their foam gathering like a living thing. Picture Poseidon standing there, his trident gleaming, his eyes like the depths of the ocean, as he molds the foam into the first horse, its body sleek, its mane flowing like the tide, its eyes alight with divine fire. This creature, born of the sea, carried the wildness of the waves and the strength of the earth, a gift to humanity that would change their world. The horse, with its speed and power, became a companion to heroes, a steed for kings, a symbol of Poseidon's boundless creativity, One tale tells of Poseidon's gift of horses to mortal cities, a mark of his favor. Picture the city of Athens, where Poseidon vied with Athena for patronage, as you heard before. In some versions of the myth, instead of a spring, Poseidon offered a horse, its form magnificent, its hooves striking the earth like thunder. Imagine the creature standing on the plain, its coat gleaming like sea foam, its strength a promise of victory in battle and speed in races. Though the Athenians chose Athena's olive tree, the horse remained a symbol of Poseidon's power, its legacy. Galloping through the fields of Greece, picture a young warrior, his hands brushing the horse's mane, offering a prayer to Poseidon, the sea's rhythm echoing in the steed's heartbeat. Another story speaks of Pegasus, the winged horse, born of Poseidon's union with Medusa. Picture a rocky shore, where the waves crash against cliffs, and Medusa's blood mingles with the sea. From this union springs Pegasus, his wings a blur, his mane like the foam of the tide, his hooves skimming the waves, as if the sea were his meadow. Imagine Poseidon watching from his coral palace, his trident raised, as Pegasus takes flight, his form a bridge between sea and sky. The horse, tamed by the hero Bellerophon, with Poseidon's favor, carried him to slay the Chimera, its wings beating like the rhythm of the waves. Picture Bellerophon soaring, the sea below sparkling, a testament to Poseidon's gift, the horse, a symbol of divine inspiration. As you envision Pegasus, his wings catching the wind, let his flight soothe you, a vision of freedom that calms the heart. Poseidon's horses also appeared in the myths of heroes like Pelops, whose chariot race won him a kingdom. Picture the plains of Olympia, where Pelops faced a deadly challenge to win the hand of Hippodamia. Imagine him standing by a river, its waters flowing to the sea, praying to Poseidon for aid. The sea god, moved by his devotion, gifted him a chariot drawn by winged horses, their speed unmatched, their manes flowing like currents. Picture the race, the chariot thundering across the track, the horses galloping with divine strength, their victory a testament to Poseidon's patronage. Pelops, crowned with glory, offered a golden cup to the sea god, the waves sparkling as if in approval. Imagine standing on that plain, the air alive with cheers, the horses' hoofbeats, a melody that echoes the sea's rhythm. In the Isthmian Games, held in Poseidon's honor at Corinth, horses were central to the celebration. Picture the Isthmus, its hills green with pine, where chariots raced under the god's watchful eye. Imagine the crowd gathered, their tunics bright, their voices rising as the horses charge, their hooves drumming like the pulse of the tide. The victors, crowned with pine wreaths, knelt before Poseidon's temple, their offerings of carved horses and shells, a tribute to the god who created their steeds. Picture a young charioteer, his hand steady on the reins, his heart full of thanks to Poseidon, the sea's murmur a constant companion. The games, a festival of strength and speed, were a celebration of Poseidon's gift, the horse a symbol of his divine power. Poseidon's horses were not just for heroes, they were sacred to cities and sanctuaries. Picture the sanctuary of Ancha in Boeotia, where chariots were dedicated to Poseidon, their wheels stilled as offerings. Imagine a procession winding through olive groves, the chariots adorned with flowers, their drivers chanting hymns to the tamer of horses. The horses, their coats gleaming, stood as symbols of Poseidon's presence, their strength a gift to the land. Picture a priest by the sanctuary, his robes flowing, offering a libation of wine to the god, the air soft with the scent of earth and sea. The horses tethered nearby seemed to nod, their eyes reflecting the god's favor, their presence a bridge between the divine and the mortal. Even in myth, Poseidon's horses carried divine significance. Picture the chariot of Poseidon himself, drawn by golden-maned steeds with hooves of bronze, their speed outpacing the wind. Imagine them galloping through the sea, the waves partying, their manes blending with the foam, as Poseidon rides to Olympus or a mortal shore. The chariot, gleaming like the sun, was a symbol of his mastery, the horses a testament to his creative power. Picture Amphitrite beside him, her smile, a reflection of the sea's calm, the horse's rhythm, a song that soothes the world. As you envision this chariot, its wheels skimming the waves, let its motion lull you, a vision of divine grace that calms the soul. The legacy of Poseidon's horses lives in the stories told by firelight. The races held in his honor, the altars piled with offerings. Imagine a coastal village, its people gathered by a temple, their voices singing of Pegasus, Pelops, and the Isthmian games. Picture a child running across a plain, her laughter mingling with the hoofbeats of a horse, unaware that Poseidon's gift shapes her world. The horses, with their strength and speed, are a thread in the sea god's tapestry, their gallop a song that echoes through time. As you listen, let the image of a herd galloping free fill your mind, their manes like the foam of the sea, their hooves a rhythm that soothes the heart. Poseidon's creation of horses was a gift that bound the sea to the land, the divine to the mortal. Picture a farmer by a field, his plow drawn by a horse, his prayer to Poseidon soft as the breeze. Imagine a warrior on horseback, his spear gleaming, his heart strengthened by the god's favor. The horses, born of the sea's foam, carry Poseidon's legacy, their spirit, a reflection of his power. As you envision these scenes, let the rhythm of hoofbeats blend with the sea's murmur, a melody that carries you closer to dreams. Poseidon, the tamer of horses, watches over his creation, his trident a scepter that shapes the world. Chapter 22. Poseidon and the Voyages, Guardian of Sailors. In ancient Greece, the sea was both a highway and a hazard, a path to wealth and adventure, but also a realm of danger, where Poseidon's will reigned supreme. Imagine a bustling harbor, its quays lined with ships, their hulls creaking, their crews preparing for a voyage. Picture a sailor standing at the prow, his hands clutching a shell, his voice soft as he prays to Poseidon for safe passage. The sea god, from his coral palace beneath the waves, hears these prayers, his trident gleaming, his eyes like the depths of the ocean. With a gesture, he can calm the sea into a glassy mirror, its currents guiding the ship to distant ports, or stir it into a tempest, the waves rising like giants to test the sailor's faith. The sea, alive with his presence, was a canvas for his power, its every movement a reflection of his mood. One tale of Poseidon's guardianship tells of the Argonauts, the band of heroes led by Jason in search of the Golden Fleece. Picture their ship, the Argo, its timbers blessed by divine craftsmanship, setting sail from Iolcus, its sails catching the wind. Imagine the crew, their oars dipping in rhythm, their voices raised in a hymn to Poseidon, their offerings of wine and shells cast into the waves. The sea god, moved by their devotion, calmed the seas, his currents guiding them through treacherous straits. Picture the Argo gliding past rocky cliffs, the waves gentle, the dolphins leaping in joyful arcs, as if sent by Poseidon to escort them. When storms threatened, the god's hand stilled the winds, his trident ensuring their safe passage to Colchis. Imagine Jason standing at the helm, his heart full of gratitude, offering a golden cup to the sea, the waves sparkling as if in acceptance. Poseidon's guardianship was a tide that carried the Argonauts to glory, their voyage a testament to his power. Another story speaks of the Phaeacians, a seafaring people beloved by Poseidon. Picture their island, Scheria, its shores lush with orchards, its harbors gleaming under the sun. The Phaeacians, skilled mariners, sailed with the god's favor, their ships swift as birds, their voyages blessed by calm seas. Imagine Odysseus, the weary hero, washed ashore after a shipwreck, his body battered by Poseidon's wrath for blinding Polyphemus. The Phaeacians, guided by their king Alcinous, welcomed him, their palace filled with music and light. Picture Odysseus recounting his tales by a fire, the seas murmur in the background, as the Phaeacians offer to carry him home. Their ship, blessed by Poseidon, glided through the waves, its path smooth, its crew confident in the god's protection. Yet, when they delivered Odysseus to Ithaca, Poseidon, still angered, turned their ship to stone. A warning to those who aid his foes. Imagine that ship, frozen mid-wave, its sails forever stilled. A monument to the sea god's dual nature, guardian and judge. Poseidon's protection was not reserved for heroes alone. Common sailors felt his presence in every voyage. Picture a fisherman setting out at dawn, his small boat rocking gently, his nets ready to cast. Imagine him tossing a flower into the sea, his prayer to Poseidon, a whisper for a bountiful catch and a safe return. The god, watching from the deep, sends a gentle breeze, the waves cradling the boat, the fish gathering as if drawn by his will. Picture the fisherman returning at dusk, his nets heavy, his voice raised in thanks as he offers a shell to the sea, the waves answering with a soft murmur. Poseidon's guardianship was a lifeline for these sailors, their lives tied to the seas. Rhythm, their fates shaped by the god's mercy. Yet the sea god's protection could turn to wrath when mortals defied him. Imagine a merchant ship, its captain proud, sailing without offerings, his heart turned from Poseidon's altars. Picture the sea darkening, clouds gathering like a shroud. As Poseidon raises his trident, the waves swelling into towers of foam. The ship tosses, its crew clinging to ropes, their prayers belated but fervent. Imagine the storm, calming, the sea settling, as Poseidon, his heart softened by their renewed devotion, guides them to a harbor. Picture the captain, humbled, kneeling by a coastal shrine, his hands piling shells on the altar, the waves sparkling as if in forgiveness. Poseidon's guardianship was a balance of mercy and justice, a tide that could lift or drown. The myths also tell of Poseidon's role in guiding entire fleets. Picture the Greek armada sailing to Troy, 1,000 ships strong, their sails a forest on the sea. Imagine Agamemnon, their leader, standing at the prow, offering a libation of wine to Poseidon, his voice steady despite the weight of war. The sea god, favoring the Greeks, calmed the waves, his currents speeding their journey, his dolphins escorting their ships. Picture the fleet landing on Troy's shores, the sea gentle, the air alive with the scent of salt and hope. Poseidon's guardianship ensured their safe arrival, his power a shield against the sea's dangers, his trident a beacon for their voyage. As you envision this fleet, its ships gliding in harmony, let the rhythm of the waves soothe you, their motion a lullaby for the soul. Poseidon's influence extended to the rituals of sailors. Picture a coastal temple, its columns carved with dolphins, its altar piled with offerings. Imagine a crew gathering before a voyage, their hands holding shells and flowers, their voices chanting hymns to the sea god. The priest, his robes flowing, pours wine into the sea, the waves seeming to shimmer in response, a sign of Poseidon's favor. Picture a sailor carving a dolphin into his ship's prow, a talisman to invoke the god's protection. The seas murmur a promise of safety. These rituals, simple yet profound, bound sailors to Poseidon, their voyages a dance with the divine, their lives cradled by his waves. As you listen, let the images of these voyages fill your mind. Picture the Argo sailing, its crew blessed by Poseidon's calm seas, dolphins leaping in their wake. Imagine the Phaeacian ship, swift and sure, carrying Odysseus home, the waves gentle under the god's gaze. See the fisherman's boat, its nets heavy, the sea sparkling with Poseidon's favor. Feel the rhythm of the tide, its rise and fall a melody that soothes the heart. Picture a sailor by a harbor, his hands clutching a shell, his prayer answered by the sea's calm. Poseidon's guardianship, a power as vast as the ocean, is a legacy that endures in every voyage. Every story told by the waves, the sea, under Poseidon's watch, is a world of adventure and safety, a realm that cradles sailors in its embrace. Imagine a poet by the shore, her words inspired by the sea's journeys, her verses a tribute to the god who guides them. Picture a child running along a beach, her laughter mingling with the waves, unaware that Poseidon's will shapes her world. The sea's rhythm, eternal and unchanging, carries his legacy, its stories a thread in the tapestry of myth. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the heart. Poseidon, guardian of sailors, watches over his sea, his trident, a beacon for those who sail. Chapter 23. Poseidon and the Storms, Lord of Tempests. In the myths of ancient Greece, the sea was a realm of beauty and terror, its storms a manifestation of Poseidon's power. Imagine standing on a rocky cliff, the wind howling, the waves crashing below like a chorus of divine voices. Poseidon, from his coral palace beneath the deep, holds sway over these tempests, his trident gleaming as he summons the winds or stills them with a gesture. Picture him in his throne room, surrounded by nereids and dolphins, his eyes like the heart of a storm, his voice a rumble that echoes through the waves. With a single strike of his trident, he can unleash a tempest, the sea rising in towering waves, their crests white with fury, or calm the waters into a mirror of stars, a gift to sailors who honor his name. The storms, both fierce and fleeting, were a testament to his mastery, their rhythm a reflection of his divine will. One tale of Poseidon's storms tells of Odysseus, the hero whose journey home from Troy became a saga of trials, as you heard before. Picture his ship, its timbers creaking, caught in a tempest born of Poseidon's wrath for blinding Polyphemus, the Cyclops. Imagine the sea churning, the waves swelling into giants, their foam crashing over the deck as Odysseus clings to the mast. The sky darkens, lightning splits the clouds, and the wind howls like a vengeful spirit, all stirred by Poseidon's trident. Picture the hero, his face weathered, his voice raised in a desperate prayer, casting a libation of wine into the sea. Though Poseidon's anger was fierce, his storms were a test, not a sentence. And other gods Athena and Zeus ensured Odysseus' survival. Imagine the sea calming, the waves settling, as Poseidon's wrath softens, the stars emerging to guide the hero to a distant shore. As you envision this storm, let its fading roar soothe you, a reminder of the sea god's mercy. Another story speaks of the Greek fleet sailing to Troy, 1,000 ships strong, their sails a forest on the sea. Picture Agamemnon, their leader, standing at the prow of his flagship, his hands offering a shell to Poseidon, his prayer for safe passage, soft as the breeze. The sea god, favoring the Greeks, held back his storms, the waves gentle, the currents swift, guiding the fleet to Troy's shores. But when the Greeks faltered, their morale shaken, Poseidon stirred the sea, sending a storm to test their resolve. Imagine the ships tossing, their crews battling the waves, their voices chanting hymns to appease the god. The storm passed, the sea calmed, and the fleet landed, their victory owed to Poseidon's favor. Picture the shores of Troy, the waves sparkling, as the Greeks offer thanks. Their altars piled with shells and fish, the sea god's power, a shield for their journey. Poseidon's storms were also a tool of divine justice. Picture a coastal city, its people neglecting the sea god's altars, their ships sailing without offerings. Imagine Poseidon, his heart stirred to anger, raising his trident, the sea roaring in response. The sky darkens, clouds gather like a shroud, and a tempest sweeps over the city, its waves crashing against the walls, its winds tearing at the roofs. Picture the people, humbled, rushing to the shore, their hands piling shells on an altar, their voices raised in desperate prayer. Poseidon, his wrath softened by their renewed devotion, calms the storm, the waves settling into a gentle rhythm, the sun breaking through the clouds. Imagine a priest by the altar, his robes flowing, chanting hymns to the sea god, the sea answering with a soft murmur, a sign of forgiveness. The myths also tell of Poseidon's storms as tests of mortal courage. Picture a lone sailor, his small boat caught in a tempest, the waves towering, the wind screaming. Imagine him clinging to the helm, his hands trembling, his voice offering a prayer to Poseidon, a shell cast into the sea. The god, watching from the deep, sends a storm to challenge his faith, the waves testing his resolve. Picture the sailors, heart steadying, his hands firm, as he steers through the tempest, the sea calming as Poseidon's favor returns. The boat reaches a harbor, its waters still, the stars above sparkling like a promise. Imagine the sailor kneeling by the shore, his hands wet with seawater, offering thanks to the god who spared him. The storm, though fierce, was a trial that forged courage, a testament to Poseidon's power to shape both sea and soul. Poseidon's mastery over storms extended to his role as protector. Picture the Phaeacians, a seafaring people, blessed by the sea god, their ships swift and sure. Imagine their island, Scheria, its harbors gleaming, its people sailing with Poseidon's favor. When a storm threatened, their prayers rose to the god, their offerings of shells and wine cast into the waves. Picture the sea calming, the clouds partying, as Poseidon's trident stilled the tempest, guiding their ships to safety. Imagine a Phaeacian captain, his face lit by torchlight, standing by a temple, his hands offering a golden cup to the sea, the waves sparkling in response. Poseidon's storms, though fearsome, were balanced by his mercy. His power, a shield for those who honored him. The sea god's storms were woven into the rituals of sailors. Picture a coastal shrine, its stones smoothed by waves, its altar adorned with shells and seaweed. Imagine a crew gathering before a voyage, their voices chanting hymns to Poseidon, their hands casting flowers into the sea. The priest, his voice steady, pours wine into the waves, the water shimmering as if the god accepts the gift. Picture a sailor carving a dolphin into his ship's prow, a talisman to ward off storms. The seas murmur a promise of protection. These rituals, simple yet profound, bound sailors to Poseidon. Their voyages a dance with the divine, their lives cradled by his waves. As you listen, let the images of Poseidon's storms fill your mind. Picture Odysseus battling the tempest, his ship tossed, the waves calming as the god's wrath fades. Imagine the Greek fleet sailing to Troy, the sea gentle under Poseidon's favor, their altars piled with offerings. See the coastal city, its walls spared, as the storm passes, the people's prayers answered. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Picture a sailor by a harbor, his hands clutching a shell, his prayer answered by the sea's calm. Poseidon's storms, a power as vast as the ocean, are a legacy that endures in every tempest. Every story told by the waves, the sea, under Poseidon's command, is a world of fury and peace, a realm that tests and protects. Imagine a poet by the shore, her words inspired by the storm's roar, her verses a tribute to the god who shapes it. Picture a child running along a beach, her laughter mingling with the waves, unaware that Poseidon's will calms the sea. The storms, eternal and fleeting, carry his legacy, their rhythm, a thread in the tapestry of myth. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the heart. Poseidon, lord of tempests, watches over his sea, his trident, a force that shapes the world. Chapter 24. Poseidon and Divine Alliances, Bonds of Olympus, in the myths of ancient Greece. The gods of Olympus were a family bound by ties of kinship and purpose, their alliances shaping the world below. Imagine the great hall, its columns carved with scenes of sea and sky, its floor a mosaic of stars, where the Olympians gather. Zeus, king of the gods, sits at the center, his thunderbolt glowing, while Poseidon, his brother, stands tall, his trident gleaming, his voice like the roar of the waves. Though their rivalries, as you heard, could shake the heavens, their alliances were a tide that lifted the divine order, their shared will, a force that guided mortals and gods alike. Picture Poseidon, his robes flowing like currents, his eyes deep as the ocean, speaking in council, his alliances with other deities, a thread in the fabric of myth. One of Poseidon's most significant alliances was with Hera, queen of the gods. During the Trojan War, picture the Olympian hall, the air heavy with divine debate, as the gods choose sides in the mortal conflict below. Poseidon, his heart still burning from King Laomedon's betrayal, aligns with Hera, whose hatred for Troy runs as deep as the sea. Imagine them standing together, Hera's eyes blazing with resolve, Poseidon's trident raised, their voices united in calling for the Greeks' victory. Picture Hera weaving plans with Athena, her strategies sharp, while Poseidon stirs the sea, his waves aiding Greek ships and shaking Trojan walls. Their alliance, a storm of divine will, turned the tide of war, their shared purpose a force that toppled a city. As you envision this council, let the harmony of their alliance soothe you, a balance of fire and water that calms the heart. Poseidon's bond with Athena, though often marked by rivalry, also bore moments of alliance. Picture a quieter council. The gods gathered to discuss a city's plea for aid. Athena, her wisdom steady, proposes a plan to guide its people, while Poseidon, his voice like the tide, offers to raise a spring or calm the sea for their ships. Imagine them working together, Athena's olive tree standing beside Poseidon's spring, their gifts a harmony of land and water. During the Trojan War, their alliance strengthened, their shared goal to destroy Troy uniting their powers. Picture Athena crafting strategies, her owl perched nearby, while Poseidon sends tremors to weaken Trojan defenses, his waves ensuring Greek supplies. Their alliance, a blend of wisdom and might, was a tide that carried the Greeks to victory. Their bond a testament to divine cooperation. Another alliance was with Apollo, despite their past conflicts over Troy's walls. Picture a moment in the dawn of the world, when the gods labored to build order from chaos. Poseidon and Apollo, tasked by Zeus, worked side by side to raise the walls of Troy, their divine skill shaping stone into a fortress. Imagine them on the Trojan plain, Poseidon's trident guiding the earth, Apollo's hands carving with precision. Their alliance, a harmony of sea and sun. Though Laomedon's betrayal soured their bond, their shared labor left a legacy, the walls a monument to their unity. Picture a later council, the gods debating a hero's fate, where Poseidon and Apollo joined forces, their voices blending to guide a mortal's path, the sea and the sun working as one. As you envision this, let the image of their collaboration calm you, a vision of divine harmony. Poseidon's alliance with his wife, Amphitrite, and her Nereid sisters, was a bond of love and power. Picture the underwater palace, its coral halls glowing with the hues of the deep, where Amphitrite sits. Beside Poseidon, her grace, a reflection of the sea's calm. Imagine the Nereids dancing through the chambers, their forms shimmering, their voices a melody that soothes the god's tempestuous heart. In council, Amphitrite's presence strengthens Poseidon's voice, her wisdom guiding his decisions, their alliance a tide that shapes the sea's rhythms. Picture them together, Poseidon's trident raised, Amphitrite's hand on his arm, as they speak for the sea's creatures and sailors. Their bond, a harmony that echoes through the waves. As you listen, let the image of their underwater court lull you, a vision of love and power that soothes the soul. Even with Zeus, Poseidon's alliances could outweigh their rivalries. Picture a council where the gods address a cosmic threat, perhaps the rise of the giants in the Titanomachy. Imagine Poseidon standing beside Zeus, his trident gleaming, his voice uniting with the thunder gods to rally the Olympians. Picture them on the battlefield, Zeus hurling lightning, Poseidon shaking the earth and raising waves to crush their foes. Their alliance, a storm of divine might, preserved the order of the cosmos. Their brotherly bond, a force that shaped the world. Imagine the sea calming after the battle, the sky clearing, as Poseidon and Zeus share a nod. Their alliance, a testament to their shared power. As you envision this scene, let the harmony of their bond calm your mind, a balance of sea and sky. Poseidon's alliances extended to minor deities, like the river gods and sea spirits. Picture a council where the river god Inachos, born of Poseidon's will, speaks for the streams of Argos, his voice blending with the sea gods. Imagine the sea nymphs, the oceanids, their forms shimmering, joining Poseidon's side, their presence strengthening his call for the sea's protection. These alliances, though less grand, were vital, their voices a chorus that supported Poseidon's decrees. Picture a river flowing to the sea, its waters mingling with the waves, a symbol of the unity between Poseidon and his allies, their bond, a tide that nourished the earth. As you listen, let the images of these alliances fill your mind. Picture Poseidon on Olympus, his trident gleaming, his voice a rumble that echoes the sea. Imagine Hera's fiery resolve, Athena's calm wisdom, Apollo's radiant light, all united with Poseidon's tide-like will. See Amphitrite by his side, her grace a melody, the Nereids dancing in her wake. Feel the rhythm of the waves below, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Poseidon's alliances, a harmony of divine power, shaped the myths that endure, their bonds a song that echoes through time. Picture a coastal shrine, its altar adorned with shells, where mortals offer prayers to the gods, the sea answering with a gentle murmur. The alliances of Poseidon were a thread in the tapestry of Olympus, their unity a balance of storm and calm. Imagine a festival by the sea, the people gathered, their voices singing of the gods' harmony, their offerings cast into the waves. Picture a sailor by his ship, his hands clutching a shell, his prayer answered by the sea's calm, a gift of Poseidon's alliances. The sea gods' bonds, forged in council and battle, are a legacy that lives in every wave, every story told by firelight. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the heart. Poseidon, a pillar of divine unity, watches over his allies, his trident a beacon of their shared power. Chapter 25. Poseidon's eternal legacy, the sea god's enduring song. Poseidon's legacy is as vast as the ocean, a force that has shaped the world from the dawn of myth to the present day. Imagine standing on a rocky promontory, the waves crashing below, their foam rising like a crown for the sea god. In ancient Greece, his name was a prayer on the lips of sailors, a hymn sung by farmers, a story told by poets under the stars. Picture a coastal village, its houses nestled against cliffs, where the people gather at dusk, their torches flickering, their voices chanting thanks to Poseidon for the sea's bounty. His power, felt in every tide, every spring, every horse's gallop, is a thread woven through the tapestry of time, a legacy that endures in the rhythm of the world. The sea itself is Poseidon's greatest monument, its waves a testament to his eternal reign. Picture a sailor at dawn, his ship gliding through calm waters, his hands casting a shell into the sea, his prayer for safe passage, soft as the breeze. The ocean, vast and untamed, carries Poseidon's spirit, its currents guiding ships, its storms testing courage, its calm a gift of mercy. Imagine a fisherman by his boat, his nets heavy with fish, his voice raised in gratitude to the god who fills them. The sea, sparkling under the sun, is a living legacy, its every movement a reflection of Poseidon's will. As you envision this, let the gentle sway of the waves soothe you, their rhythm a lullaby that calms the heart. Poseidon's legacy lives in the earth he shaped, its tremors and springs a mark of his power. Picture a valley where a spring bubbles forth, its waters clear and cool, born of the sea god's trident. Imagine a farmer kneeling by its banks, his hands wet with its flow, offering a garland to Poseidon, his fields green with the gods' gift. The earth, stirred by his earthquakes, hums with his presence, its quakes a reminder of his might, its springs a symbol of his care. Picture a coastal city, its walls spared by Poseidon's mercy, its people gathered by a spring, their voices singing of the god who sustains them. The earth, like the sea, carries his legacy, its pulse, a song that echoes through centuries. Horses, too, are a living testament to Poseidon's creation. Imagine a herd galloping across a plain, their manes flowing like sea foam, their hooves drumming a rhythm that mirrors the tide. In ancient Greece, horses were sacred to Poseidon, their races held in his honor, their strength a gift to humanity. Picture the Isthmian Games, the chariots thundering, the crowd cheering, their wreaths of pine a tribute to the tamer of horses. Even today, the spirit of the horse, wild, noble, and free, carries Poseidon's essence, their gallop a reminder of his divine spark. Imagine a rider on horseback, her hair streaming in the wind, her heart lifted by the steed's power, unaware that Poseidon's gift shapes her world. As you envision these horses, let their rhythm lull you, a melody of strength and grace. Poseidon's legacy is also etched in the art and stories of Greece. Picture a museum, its halls quiet, where a bronze statue of Poseidon stands, its trident raised, its form capturing the god's eternal might. Imagine a vase, its paint faded but its scenes vivid, showing the sea god in his chariot, dolphins leaping around him. These artifacts, preserved through time, are a bridge to the ancient world, their beauty a testament to Poseidon's enduring presence. Picture a poet by the shore, her verses inspired by the waves, her words a hymn to the god who stirs them. The stories, from the Trojan War to Odysseus's trials, from Pegasus's flight to the Nereid's dance, are a legacy that lives in every telling. There echoes a song that soothes the soul. His influence reached beyond Greece, touching cultures that met the sea. Picture a Roman harbor, its ships sailing under Neptune, Poseidon's Roman name, their prows carved with dolphins. Imagine traders in distant lands, their coins stamped with the sea god's image, carrying his story across continents. The sea, a highway for ideas, spread Poseidon's legacy, his myths blending with those of other gods, his power felt in every wave that touched a foreign shore. Picture a modern coastal town, its festivals echoing the ancient Isthmian Games, its people honoring the sea with offerings, their tales a faint echo of Poseidon's name. As you envision this, let the image of ships gliding across the sea fill your mind, their sails catching the wind, a symbol of the god's eternal reach. Poseidon's legacy is not just in the sea, the earth, or the stories, but in the human heart. Imagine a sailor standing by his ship, his hands rough with rope, his prayer to the sea, a whisper of faith that has never faded. Picture a child running along a beach, her laughter mingling with the waves, unaware that Poseidon's spirit shapes her joy. The sea god's power, felt in every tide, every tremor, every galloping horse, is a connection to the divine, a reminder of the wonder that lies beyond the horizon. Imagine a festival by the shore, the people gathered, their voices singing of the sea god, their offerings cast into the waves, the sea answering with a gentle murmur. As you listen, let the images of Poseidon's legacy fill your mind. Picture the sea at twilight, its waves sparkling, its rhythm a song of the god's eternal watch. Imagine a spring bubbling from the earth, its waters a gift from his trident, and a horse galloping free, its mane like the foam of the tide. See the statues, the vases, the coins, their forms a bridge to the ancient world, their beauty a hymn to Poseidon's power. Feel the rhythm of the waves, their rise and fall, a melody that soothes the soul. Picture a coastal shrine, its altar adorned with shells, where a sailor offers a prayer, the sea sparkling in response. Poseidon's legacy, a tide that never recedes, is a song that echoes through time, its notes a lullaby for the heart. The sea god's story, from his birth among the Olympians to his creation of islands, horses, and springs, is a tapestry of power and grace. Imagine a poet by the sea, her words inspired by the waves, her verses a tribute to Poseidon's eternal reign. Picture a fisherman casting his net, his voice raised in thanks, the sea's bounty a gift from the god. The myths of heroes, monsters, storms, and alliances, a legacy that lives in every wave, every story told by firelight. As you envision these scenes, let the tide's gentle pull guide you, its melody a balm for the soul. Poseidon, lord of the sea, shaker of the earth, tamer of horses, watches over the world, his trident, a beacon of his enduring power. As this tale draws to a close, let the images of Poseidon's legacy linger: the sea's endless dance, the earth's trembling pulse, the horses galloping freedom. Picture yourself on a quiet shore, the air warm, the sea sparkling under the stars, the waves whispering of a god whose story never ends. The tide's rhythm carries you deeper into dreams, its song a testament to Poseidon's eternal presence. Let this final tale guide you, like a ship gliding toward a distant harbor, its sails filled with the breath of the sea god. Rest now, cradled by the waves, as the story of Poseidon, the eternal sea god, sings you gently into slumber.